I am an Astroneer, and it's my job to colonize all 7 planets of this solar system, harnessing their resources, exploring mysterious biomes, unraveling the horrifying mysteries of the galaxy, and automating production in a way that brings pure joy to my heart. To achieve 100% completion, I'll be doing every quest, researching every tech, and securing all 56 Steam achievements. Welcome to my 100% playthrough of Astroneer.
I believe I'm on the move. Okay. Drop pod. Drop pod. Ooh.
I'd landed in the plains region of a planet called Silver, and I was immediately a big fan of the vibrant art style in this game.
Woohoo!
Yee-hoo! I wandered over to this weird little bush, and I accidentally clicked on my funky backpack. Turns out this is how you interact with your inventory.
What is all this business? Astropedia. What the?
When I moused over this little spiky thing sticking out of the bush, I discovered I could scan it. And so I scanned my first research sample in the wild, earning 18 bytes, a resource with which new tech can be unlocked.
Oh, my O2's getting low. Okay, I need to be tethered.
That blue bar across the top of my backpack is my oxygen meter, and I did indeed need to be tethered for this to stay full.
Alright, we got the mission log here. Survive the landing. Okay, we can collect some rewards. Oxygenator and small printer.
I grabbed the small printer. This thing 3D prints useful items and machines, but it needs to be plugged into power.
Oh, I can plug the printer in.
I then accidentally pressed E and whipped out my terrain tool.
What is this? What am I holding? Whoa! What the hell?
Turns out I can literally suck up the planet itself. Great stuff. I unpacked the oxygenator, and I was a big fan of how the top of the box it was in absolutely flew off into space. I picked it up and stared at it for a bit, before discovering I could attach it to my shelter. This thing provides a constant flow of oxygen to tethers, platforms, and cables. As reward for attaching it to my base, I earned some tethers. I eventually worked out I could hold F to deploy a tether, and so plopped down this thingo.
Okay, I see. Alright, now I can go a bit further? Oh, what the heck? That's a cave, man.
I had a session sucking up all this organic matter, and some of the ground too, apparently. I didn't have any particular motivation for this vacuum cleaning. It was just satisfying.
Should I be sucking it all up?
I discovered all that sucking had yielded me a chunk of organic material that neatly clipped onto my backpack. I claimed a reward for figuring out how to use tethers. It was this small canister that can be filled with soil, but I left it sitting here for now and wandered off with the dawn of day 2 to suck up some of this yellow stuff. I scanned a fossil over here to earn more bytes, and I wandered around trying to get more of a feel for how stuff worked.
How deep can I? Whoa. Whoa.
I found a crashed pod over here, and it tried to teach me about alternate crafting methods, but I was confused. I did find some stuff on this abandoned backpack though, most notably this floodlight, which I ferried over to my base and plugged in. Let there be light. I also found a research sample, which I was able to scan for a whopping 263 bytes. I continued bandying about with my terrain tool, trying to collect a bunch of this resin.
So much resin in here. Get it.
I claimed any research scans I could find to continue hoarding bytes, and I decided to unleash vengeance upon this tree in the nearby forest biome. I ended up in possession of a seed, which I planted back at base.
I planted a seed. That tree grew really fast. That's impressive.
My backpack was beginning to fill up, and I didn't seem to have any storage methods available, so I chucked a bunch of stuff on the ground. And I finally attached the empty canister to my backpack, and you can see it there on the top left. As I sucked up the terrain, it began to fill with soil. I found this fancy pink crystal, and it appeared to be a story item with a little journal entry.
Coffee with Conductor Bell is always a refreshing distraction. As much as I enjoy her company, I wish I'd be able to dissuade her from taking this mission.
So I guess some other adventurers were here before me, and by the crashed drop pod and the ominous tone of that message, I guess things didn't go too well. Along with resin, I was in need of compound. So when I spotted these silver blobs, I wandered over happily and began hoovering. I picked up a few full chunks of compound and organics in the process, and I managed to fill up the canister with soil. I also completely ran out of oxygen, so it's lucky I didn't keel over and die on the run back to base. And as you can see, not only my backpack was chock full of goodies, my terrain tool had items hanging off it too. I saw a green button on my backpack, so I of course pressed it, and this used up one compound to begin crafting something.
Oh, I just made tethers.
So it turns out some stuff can be crafted on the go. I turned in the quest to fill a canister with soil, earning 500 bytes, and picked up a quest to unlock and print some mods for my terrain tool. I began filtering through all my research options, and managed to unlock the tier 1 drill mod for 1000 bytes. I needed to collect 4 resin and 4 compound for another quest, so I set out once more. I found this thing, a research item compatible with the research chamber. I didn't have a research chamber yet, but I diligently ran it back to my base nonetheless. I dumped a bunch of crap to make room and headed out once more.
Go in this cave. Whee! Oh crap, how am I gonna get out?
I decided the cave looked a little too spooky and difficult to emerge from, so I changed my mind. And you know what else is spooky? This eldritch abomination from Once Human. Once Human is a post-apocalyptic open-world survival game, and it is out now. Free to play solo or co-op with lots of honestly quite weird shenanigans to be enjoyed. And I was actually lucky enough to play a little before it was released.
The heck are you? Why have you got a rubbish bin on your head?
I'm pretty sure that was a spotlight on his head, but A+ for effort.
Get out of here, briefcase head, you silly sausage.
I was very pleased to find you can actually pick up the Licky briefcase.
What the heck? It's shooting spit.
It has limitless survival freedom and quests galore across a huge sprawling map.
What the heck? Okay, the world is quite large.
256 square kilometers to be precise.
Oh, what is this guy doing? Let me in, big boy. Hell yeah. Yeah, I'm in.
It's full of PvE content, including expansive crafting and base building systems, and of course, dungeon boss battles. And it's got PvP too. Also, there's a special pet system called Deviation, where you get some pretty wacky friends to help you to fight and survive.
Yeah, look, my butterfly. It's bamboozling him.
Yes, indeed. The first pets you get are some beautiful butterflies, which I found very useful against that dude with a 5G tower on his head. You catch these pets by defeating the many outrageous deviant monsters of this land. One final thing, because I'm sure some of you are wondering, it is indeed free to play, but it is not pay to win. It features purely cosmetic purchases. Download Once Human on Steam using my link below and use my code to claim some spicy rewards. And of course, big thanks to Once Human for sponsoring the video. Alright, let's get back to some Astroneer. By the way, I like the way this little dude runs and jumps. Wonderful stuff. I sucked up some resin, claimed some research fossil thingos, and came upon another crashed pod. There were some tethers here which I began using over and over, and this made me realize what I really should be doing with all these tethers.
Oh, wait, I'm gonna die. I'm actually dead.
So I think I may have wandered too far and gotten too distracted.
No, no, no.
You gotta appreciate a nice theatrical death leap. I respawned just nearby in my shelter.
I think I slightly understand tethers now.
I reclaimed all my loot and then began daisy chaining a lifeline of tethers out in this direction, as a way of expanding the distance I could safely wander. I soon had the beginnings of a neat little O2 network. It only costs one compound to make like 12 tethers, so these were quite cheap. I discovered an abandoned backpack.
Small squeaker horn.
I also found a set of oxygen filters.
80 seconds of non-refillable oxygen.
There was another curious item with a message further emphasizing how something fishy was afoot during these people's mission. I expanded the tether network a little further.
To where? I have no idea.
And I soon wandered beyond the tethers to collect some more. As you can see, my blue oxygen bar was not depleting. This is because the oxygen filter I picked up was being used up first, giving me an extra 80 seconds to work with. I collected deep into the ground until my entire body was covered in corn cobs of resin. And by this point, the O2 filter had run out, so I was using up my suit's O2, and it was time to reunite with my tethers anyway.
I've got a good store of resin. Can I get like a chesticle happening to put all my resin in? Hey, my tree grew. Look at that beautiful tree. Throw all the resin on the ground like a lunatic.
Yes, indeed. I think it's fair to say my base was starting to become quite a mess. I had plenty of resin, but I needed more compound. So when I spotted many a silver blob over here, I was pleased. I built a tether line off in that direction and got collecting.
Give me all that sweet, sweet compound. Oh yeah, this is the mother lode. This is the mother lode of compound.
I discovered some clay too. That's the brown stuff here. So I ended up collecting a fair bit of that as well. Soon I was full up, and random chunks of compound started dropping on the ground. So I took all the organics off my backpack, since those are quite easy to get, and I prioritized filling up on yet more compound.
So that's just over there. That's a really good, I guess, node. Alright, so now I can well and truly do this quest, right? Here we go. Medium storage. Medium platform. Interesting.
Those juicy rewards dropped from the heavens, and I got busy placing down the 2 platforms over here.
Okay, and then give me the storage. Storage going top. I see.
This medium storage thingo only had 8 slots, but it was at least a start at tidying things up around here. I used my small printer to make a medium printer out of 2 compound, and look at it go, printing away. I took the brand new printer over here and began trying to plug the power in, but there was no power socket, so I deduced I needed to place it on a platform. Luckily, the quest I'd recently completed had given me 2 medium platforms, so I had a second ready to go. I whacked the medium printer on there and got it all positioned where I could reach a power cable from the shelter. I immediately used it to make a large printer out of 3 compound, but I think there may have been some janky shenanigans afoot.
I'm making a large printer, but it's inside my base. I think I did this wrong. How do I rotate platforms?
This took quite a while to build,
It's taking a long time.
but eventually it was complete.
Wait, so this produces 1 unit of power a second, and this uses 2 units of power a second? How can this work?
So the medium printer had been working, despite only half the necessary power being available to it. I believe it was working at 50% the speed though, which would make sense.
I don't think I can use the what the hell? Yeah, I don't think I can use this until I get a large platform, I guess.
Ask and you shall receive, because completing the quest to set up my medium printer earned me a large platform as reward. So down it went, and on top went the large printer, though I couldn't make anything with it yet. I realized I could craft a small generator out of 1 compound using my backpack, so I got one of those cooking. As you can see, it materialized over here on this little arm of my backpack. I placed it down and attached a green corn cob onto it.
Now I've got a small generator producing 2 units of power per second.
And for successfully placing that down, I earned a battery as a reward. Here I placed it and plugged it in, and it immediately began building up charge. Then I realized I hadn't actually turned the generator on yet, so I did, and my base's power generation had officially increased.
I mean, my base is absolutely in shambles, but
I'd made okay progress, but honestly, I was still confused. So I began familiarizing myself with the stuff I'd be able to unlock in the future.
okay, so the automation here sounds like it can get kind of complicated. Power switch, splitters, medium generator, rover seat. Begin investigation at... What?
As you can see, my quests were beginning to pile up, and some of them were a little weird, and others needed me to go to different planets, so clearly I had a lot of work to do. I then realized I could actually navigate the menu in these printers.
Oh, this is... the menus... I'm so confused. I can make a burrito? What?
I only had 2 crafts available on the large printer. I'd have to unlock the rest, but there are a bunch more options currently available on the small printer. And over at the medium printer, I found what I was after.
Here's the research chamber. Need 1 resin.
I grabbed one that was lying around, and I got a research chamber crafting. I also accidentally turned on my compass, apparently. And look at my base. It was really coming along. Lots of corn.
Okay, the small generator used up a whole bunch of organic matter. Interesting. I think if I don't have enough power, it just works slower.
I plonked the research chamber down.
Alright, let's get this thing. Chuck it in there.
Except there was no power, so I needed a large platform.
I'm quite bothered that it keeps building stuff inside my shelter, but I don't know how to turn it around.
Don't worry, I figured out how to turn stuff around pretty soon.
While that's crafting, I might as well go get a bunch more materials.
And so I loaded up on compound and clay before returning home heavy laden.
This base is an absolute shambles, by the way. I dug holes like right next to it accidentally.
I grabbed the research chamber, placed it on the freshly made large platform, and connected the platform to power.
Okay, so this is researching. 23 bytes per minute. Okay, it's gonna get me 444 bytes when it's done researching. Okay, that's not bad.
Much of the tech I was going to need to unlock was going to cost thousands of bytes, so being able to conduct research on the giant rock to earn hundreds of bytes was indeed a great boon. That was also another quest done and dusted. I played around with these beacons, they can change color, and I spent all of day 7 pottering around my base trying to figure out what to do next. My main question was,
How do I make a smelter? How do I make a smelter?
I collected some of these big chunky rocks to research, and made sure to chuck more organic material on the generator every time it ran out of fuel. And when I grabbed this EXO request platform I'd crafted, I got bamboozled by how funky the sky looks.
Oh dude, why does the cosmos look so weird? I thought it was under... Look at that. I thought it was under attack.
This EXO request platform costs some resin and compound to print.
Trade requested items from Exo Gear. Cosmetics during designated time windows. What?
I figured I might as well press the green button.
What the hell?
So that's a rocket, and it appeared I needed to attach a whole bunch of weird items to it before I could launch it off for some kind of reward.
8,888 burritos? What?
Getting this thing established completed 3 quests, somehow.
Underground compass anomalies detected. Investigate underground. Confirm with green button to receive sample. Call.
It seemed these quests were encouraging me to head underground to try and find some stuff. I wasn't exactly sure about all that, but I was happy to receive a bunch of helpful items from the heavens.
What the... Was I supposed to be able to complete that?
One delicious reward was a medium resource canister, which can fit 32 nuggets of a single resource. So I filled this one with a bunch of compound. The first fancy rock had finished researching, so I chucked another one on for continued byte gain, and I still couldn't believe how much random crap I'd just gotten.
Feels like I cheated. Look at all this stuff. Rail post bundle.
I grabbed a rail post from the bundle, and it was rather large. And I finally figured out how to rotate.
Oh, C and V is to rotate.
I immediately rotated my medium printer, so it would stop printing stuff on top of my shelter.
A medium gas canister? An unknown biofuel. A medium wind turbine.
I'd also received this solid fuel jump jet, which I attached to my backpack.
Use. Woo! Whee! That's what I like to see.
I made some medium platforms and placed these medium wind turbines on them. These produce 5 units of power per second each.
They don't look like they're spinning.
They were indeed not spinning, but when the wind blew up a little later in the night, they began to work their magic. I'd accrued over 4,000 bytes from my researching and questing, so I unlocked oxygen tanks for 2,000 bytes and the terrain tool booster mod for 1,000 bytes. But I couldn't actually craft either of these yet, as I hadn't got my hands on any glass or zinc. I collected a bunch of organic material to ensure I had a bunch of biofuel for my generator, and
I still don't know how to make a smelter. I think I've done something wrong.
here's footage of me scrolling right past the smelting furnace research and completely missing it, because I am a goose on the loose. But don't worry, I'll find it eventually. I'd received a quest to do 10 research scans, so I wandered around scanning. I collected for a bit, because why not? And I brought home yet another green gem rock. I found another crash site, so I claimed some loot. I discovered this big blue nut that was researchable in the research chamber, so I carried it home hoping it would perhaps earn more bytes than the rocks. And I'd found a battery in my travels, so I added it to the base. I then read the crystal thingo that I'd picked up at the crash site.
It's here. I can feel it boring through my suit. It knows we're here now. It knows we're all here. Oh gosh. That sounds terrifying.
I put the blue nut onto research. Sadly, it only earned a similar amount of bytes to the rocks, and I decided to venture towards the mountains. I headed into this mountainside cave, in which I discovered a new material, malachite, and I dug up this bounce vine and claimed 2 seeds from it.
Alright, I'm running out of oxygen. I better go.
I hurried back to my tether network and breathed in the sweet, sweet O2, and once I was home, I planted the 2 bounce vine seeds. And on day 11, it finally happened.
Wait, what? How did I miss this for so long? Oh my gosh, I'm so silly.
It cost a mere 250 bytes to unlock the furnace, and I began printing one immediately with my medium printer. I destroyed this hillside while stocking up on resin, and when I returned, I discovered the smelter was going to need a large platform upon which to sit, so I made one of those. I placed the canister of compound on one side of this platform, just to mildly neaten up the place, and it actually dispensed compound over here on the other side, ready to be collected at my convenience. Very nice. And soon I was setting up my smelter and giving it a whirl. I thought for sure the resin would turn into popcorn, but no bingo. I had better luck with the malachite as it began smelting into copper. Finally, I was making progress towards some new materials.
Done the smelting thing. Refine aluminium from laterite. Oh, where do I get laterite?
You get it underground, which was the next frontier of exploration I needed to conquer. But first, I discovered the suits menu.
It's for the bubble suit, man. Yeah, the bubble suit. And I got a fat head. I love it. Used to extract natural resources from soil. Where's my 1 aluminium? Okay, pick that up.
My strategy of leaving crap lying around all over the place was working flawlessly. This 1 precious nugget of aluminium had been a quest reward, and using it to make this soil centrifuge proved to be a worthy choice. I attached a full soil canister to it, and then a second, and that seemed to fill it up. I got it set up on a large platform, and hit the green button to see what would happen.
Is it actually extracting 8 compounds out of it? It actually did! It extracted 8 compounds, that's so much. Holy crap. Alright, chuck them all in this thing. Can I change it? Resin? Organic. You get 4 quartz, 2 graphite, 1 ammonium, 6 clay, 8 organic, 8 resin.
I put some clay on to smelt, which yielded me my first nugget of ceramic, which I used to finally make a drill mod for my terrain tool.
Okay, we got a drill mod on here now.
This lets you chew through harder terrain. I had a squiz at this handy resource sheet.
Okay, glass is from quartz. Zinc is from sphalerite. Sphalerite.
And I was finally starting to feel like I had a decent grasp on what the hell was going on in this charming space adventure. Great news. I sucked up a bunch of resin, filling 2 more soil canisters in the process, and I chucked both of those into the soil centrifuge and it spun like crazy, yielding 4 quartz this time. I immediately put some into the smelter to be refined into glass. Once it was ready, I crafted an oxygen tank.
Ah, it's an extra backpack worth of oxygen. Okay, so that's essentially doubled my base oxygen.
And I made 1 more because I figured I might as well triple it. It was a bit rough using up 2 backpack slots, but the extra exploration power was theoretically worth it. I immediately put that to the test as I headed down into the caves. I knew I needed at least a couple of materials down here, so it was time. When I saw this pop coral, I did what any sensible goose on the loose would do.
I guess that's what pop coral does, damn it.
Who could have possibly guessed that the freaky looking cave-dwelling plant called pop coral would pop when poked? Outrageous. I decided it would be wise to extend some tethers down here. And look at this isolated specimen. What a random find.
Cosmic bauble. What the heck?
I discovered I could stick a tether to the wall of the cave, which helped the tether daisy chain reach all the way down here. I scanned these research thingos, and they yielded about double the bytes compared to research samples on the surface. And there are a lot of cosmic snowman weirdos, and a fair bit of pop coral down here. These two snowmen gave me some noxethane.
Pierce bite. Oh, it's shooting poison at me. Don't do that. Ooh, what's this? Is this the good stuff? Oh, yeah, that's what I need for zinc.
I'd found sphalerite already, which can indeed be smelted into zinc.
Exodynamics research aid. Maintain desired power input to unlock.
This thing confused me, so I ignored it and continued sucking up the sphalerite. But my backpack was brimming with all manner of weird doodads, so I was soon ready to return to base. Except I may have been slightly lost.
No! Where the hell did I come in?
My 2 oxygen tanks had depleted, and I was down to my backpack's oxygen, but I hadn't really wandered that far. And though I felt completely lost, I soon spotted my tethers. But next came the big question. How do I get out of here? I figured my thruster jetpack thing would come in handy, but it ran out of fuel and disappeared as soon as I started attempting to climb.
My jetpack thing just ran out of battery or ran out of fuel. So how the hell am I going to get out?
I'd honestly thought the jetpack was gonna last forever, so I was very sad to see it go, as I wasn't yet capable of making another one. Anyway, as you can see, my cave escape technique was to dig a big ramp.
Can always just worm my way out. No problem.
I soon glimpsed the glorious night sky, and I ascended to freedom.
Alright, well that works.
I whacked the sphalerite on to smelt into zinc.
Let's just plant a random pop coral over there, because why not?
I collected the zinc from the smelter and crafted a boost mod for my terrain tool.
Increases deformation speed.
I gave it a spin.
I mean, it doesn't really seem that much faster, but fair enough.
I whacked the soil I'd collected down in the caves on to turn into more quartz, and I had a look at the weird things I could make with cosmic baubles and noxethane.
I think I got an unknown biofuel. Yeah, there it is. Should I make squashethane? Why not? Make some of that. Oh yeah, there it is.
It appeared the only thing I could do with squashethane was to attach it to the Exo Request platform rocket, so that's what I did. That was 1 out of 8 random items ready to go.
I've made some accidental progress on this rocket thing.
These things are called bounce vines, so I concluded they must cause great bouncage. And there was a little bit of bounce happening, but honestly, I was disappointed.
Caught a bounce vine though. Surely I'm supposed to go flying and bounce like an absolute majestic beast.
I then developed an urge to explore the surface some more, so off I went. I had an absolute research scan bonanza in this forest, and I found another one of these research pod thingos. It looks like I was supposed to unearth the one in the cave, because on this one, a cable plug was visible. I collected some nearby compound, which I used to make a small generator, but it did not open. Clearly, I needed more power, so I made and connected a second.
Hey, we did it. What do we get? A research sample. 314 bytes. Seems good. Interesting. Might as well put these random generators on my back. So I think that generator's still working, providing me with a whole bunch of power.
Yes, indeed. The suit uses power for things like crafting or using the flashlight, so generators can help with that. I had a random session looking at my research options, during which I researched glow sticks and power cells for some reason, and I decided it was time to head home. The highlight of successfully unboxing that research aid unit was that it completed a quest which earned me a most glorious reward. I was confused as to why I couldn't hop in my new buggy, so I wandered off and chucked some soil in the spinning machine to turn into 2 graphite. And then I remembered I could craft a rover seat, so I assumed that was what I needed. I soon had one printed.
Alright, we moving? Hey. Why can't I move? Hello?
It needed some battery charge, so I took this power cell off my back and whacked it on, and we were moving.
We moving now? Oh yeah, we're moving. We are moving. Holy crap. This is nuts. Sick! My base is an absolute shambles, by the way.
Power cells eventually run out and disappear, so my buggy needed a better power solution. I figured a generator with a big green cob hanging off it was the way to go.
So if you ever run out, you can just stop, suck up some organics, chuck it on. Infinite buggy power.
My 2 graphite nuggets were ready, so I unceremoniously dumped them on the floor. And then I embarked on a noble quest to tidy up around here. I researched leveling block and alignment mod. I sucked up a bunch of soil, and I dug up this funky researchable chunk in the process. I'd actually run out of stuff to research, so this was a great find. And I soon crafted a leveling block out of soil. My plan here was to figure out a way to level out the ground around my base, so that I could patch up the random holes I'd made, and then rearrange a little to make everything neater. But I'm not sure about these ones.
I don't think this is working. What the hell was I trying to do?
Yeah, so that didn't work out like I was hoping.
That was a very successful experiment, clearly. This is getting me a crazy amount of bytes, by the way. Look at this. This is crazy.
Looks like whatever I dug up made for some juicy research. I next wanted to try terraforming with the alignment mod attached to my terrain tool, but to make the alignment mod I needed more zinc. So down to the caves I returned on a quest to find more sphalerite. I placed a beacon down this time so it'd be easy to find my way back, and I wandered over to where I'd found sphalerite earlier, as there was still plenty to collect. Just as I began hoovering, my backpack's power ran out, and so my flashlight turned off. I found something intriguing on the ground.
Automaton. Wait, what? Automaton 009.
There was a big hole here that went even deeper, so I was careful not to fall down, and I was soon heavy laden with a great haul of goodies. Also, I found this big green chunk to research, and a medium generator which was random, so I carried those back in tandem.
Just taking my green research rock up a hole, no problem. Don't worry about it. Go.
I whacked that bad boy in the research chamber, I slapped on a bunch of sphalerite to smelt into zinc, and I realized I could make more weird items. I made cosmic squash with the stuff I'd found in the caves, plus a Resopound I'd received as a quest reward, and I attached it to my rocket. Once some zinc was ready, I used it to craft the alignment mod.
This isn't exactly what I had in mind. For some reason in my mind I was thinking that it would level out the terrain to the curvature of the planet, but this makes more sense. It just creates a hole right to the core. I just wanted to get some kind of tool so that I could level out the area and make my base neater, but nope. Noxamaton 2. What are these things that I'm making? What am I doing? A little robot head coming out of a vegetable, basically. Seems good.
And with that, I had attached 3 out of 8 zany items onto the rocket. Now that my efforts at leveling out the terrain had failed, I gave up on tidying my base and instead took stock of my quests and the handy resource pamphlet.
Yes, this is the only resource I have not found here. Okay.
Yes, indeed. Laterite, which can be smelted into aluminium, was the one remaining resource I could find on this planet. And therefore, it was the final puzzle piece for me to progress towards finding a way to visit other planets where I'd be able to collect an even wider variety of resources. So I ventured back into the caves and immediately found a massive vein of sphalerite, which I couldn't resist collecting. I ducked back up to base, dumped 9 or so nuggies on the floor, and headed back down. This time I took some tethers with me and expanded my oxygen network off in a different direction.
What's this stuff? Is this it? Oh, we found it. Yes.
That was easier than I thought it would be. I claimed my fill.
Bunch of laterite.
It's pronounced laterite. I got busy smelting some, and once the first nugget of aluminium was ready, a quest was completed, and I received a whole bunch of new quests. It really felt like the game opened right up. I had one quest to print a tractor, and
print small shuttle, journey to Desolo or Calador to locate wolframite. Okay. That is how we get off world.
One of the quests was to gather 3 sphalerite, and apparently what I'd already gathered didn't count, so I figured I'd return to the caves to quickly knock over that quest first.
What? I died? What the heck? Since when was that fall too big to survive? That's outrageous.
This time I dug a little step down to avoid any more untimely exploration, and I soon ended up back at the sphalerite vein I'd last pilfered from, as there was still plenty left over. I soon had the 3 I needed for the quest, but I kept on going until my backpack was full. I soon emerged carrying a big green thing.
Bait and switch. So, I get a weird item? Initiate local fauna examinations. Strange object. Oh. Whoa. It is why is it doing that? Why? Please deploy at a safe distance from launch pad. Oh, it's like is this a what is that? It looks like a choo-choo train, man. Let's see. Xenobiology lab wreckage. An abandoned facility once used to house and study biological samples. It's still partially functional and may contain useful information.
There was an oxygenator attached to the wreckage and a spot for the oxygenator to go, so I slotted it in.
Okay, so this is giving me oxygen now. This is like a new base. Lab records and analysis.
Next, I needed to jump start it, so I connected this small generator and it fired up.
It's playing very beautiful music.
I turned on the console and learned a little about what had happened to this ship.
All 7 galastropods remain in good health, nothing substantial to report. This will be my final entry. The Triton is under attack, I'm the only one left. I've sealed the nursery, but it won't be long before they find me. And now called me earlier, or whatever that thing is pretending to be him did. Okay, so this guy had a bunch of snails, and then someone attacked their ship.
That is pretty much the gist of it. It sounds like some kind of shape-shifting enemy infiltrated their ranks, which is quite spooky. And now the task fell to me, to track down and rescue the 7 snails, one on each of the 7 planets in the game. I got started right here on the planet Silver, looking for a snail named Sylvie. The first step was to find some of its discarded shells and gather some data. I found this exo cache,
A hardened container that can be opened with explosives.
I didn't have access to explosives just yet, but this was an intriguing find. I kept zooming about and soon found a snail shell to scan, and then I saw something rather impressive on the horizon.
It's like a beam of light into the sky over there.
And as I drew closer, I was even more impressed.
It's quite reflective. Oh, it's a gateway chamber. Well, I could have guessed that actually. It kind of looks like a gateway.
I circled the entire thing, and there was no clear way to get up onto it, but
There's definitely a power point up there, so I think I can power it up.
I figured I'd come back once I'd gotten my hands on another jetpack with which to fly onto the platform. My buggy had run out of organic fuel, so I sucked up some grass, and in literally 6 seconds I had 3 organic nuggets. So this buggy was indeed fantastic for safely roaming the entire planet. That is, assuming I drive it carefully.
Oh crap. No. Oh, I'm lucky. No! I thought I'd made it across, and then I pressed F, and I thought it was gonna... I don't know what I thought it was gonna do, but it flipped me straight in.
That was quite the ravine, and I probably should have resisted trying to jump over it. I fell right next to some laterite, so I figured why not. And then I found myself in a rather frustrating situation where my buggy kept getting stuck on all the little rocks down here. I sucked up some of the terrain to get the buggy free, and then I created a most glorious ramp. Though I began to fear I'd never be able to get my precious buggy up it, but it actually did a great job of ascending despite the dodginess of the ramp.
Dude, where is the surface? Yes! Freedom! Now, I'll promise to be more careful, Mr. Rover. Just get me to the top. Get me to the top. Please. Yes! Woo! Alright, now don't fall in any more flaming holes.
I then realized the snail shells actually appeared on my compass, so finding a bunch more to scan was no problem. I only needed to scan 5, but I definitely scanned way more than that. The forest was full of them, and then it was time to head home. I turned in the shell quest and received a follow-up.
Provide terrarium with soil and zinc and a bounce vine seed. Make a home for a snail, basically.
I popped the terrarium over here, and earlier I'd rather conveniently planted a random bounce vine right next to my base, so getting a seed was easy. And
zinc, soil. Boom, done. I get a small trumpet horn as a reward. Very useful.
it was indeed a very useful trumpet horn.
Oh. What? Okay, I gotta... how do I dance? Jump for joy, wave. Which dance are we doing? Poultry poker?
Sylvie the snail was successfully coaxed out of hiding by the beautiful music of the trumpet horn, and now my elite dance moves were winning her love.
Yeah. 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 Beautiful. This is so outrageously cute. I've won the snail's trust. Now I've got to shove him in the terrarium. How do I...
I hit befriend, and Sylvie hopped into the terrarium.
Okay. Yay! Hello. Pet. Who would have known you would need a small trumpet horn to win the love of a snail? Oh, I gotta slot him into the xenobiology lab. Okay, that makes sense.
I connected Sylvie in, and a verification scanning process began. And with that, I'd collected 1 out of 7 snails. I gave Sylvie a bounce vine seed to eat.
2 new options of fellas to find on different planets though, Desolo and Talador.
And so I was destined to visit other planets and win the love of more snails. Nice. As a reward for that quest, I got one of these QT RTGs that produced 1 unit of power per second forever. A very useful find. So I plugged that into the power network and returned my attention towards progressing towards space travel. I unlocked the auto arm, tractor, and trailers that can connect to the tractor, and I cooked up some more aluminium out of laterite, which I put towards making a tractor.
Lovely. Wait, I can plug it in? How's that work?
I plugged it in to charge.
Moving and hauling. And I get a trailer as a reward. I got 1500 bytes as a reward too. Relocation package. Unlock and print a packager. And I get a free shredder.
Yes. I attached the trailer to the tractor and took it for a spin, before parking it and plugging it in to charge. I unlocked the packager research and crafted one of those out of 1 graphite. And this thing attaches to any deployed item and packages it back up, making it easy to transport on a trailer, for example. And I was excited to receive a medium shredder as reward. I set it up over here. This thing can shred debris and turn it into scrap, which is a trade resource.
Here we go, trade platform. I need exochip, iron, and tungsten. Okay, so I can't make that yet. I'll be able to trade with this crap, I guess.
I rather ambitiously attempted to shred this entire drop pod in my little shredder, but it seemed to be slightly incompatible.
Oh, this is a medium shredder. Okay, so there must be large shredders that can fit in. That makes more sense.
Now, when last we spoke, I was very excited about this shredder, but I must confess to a mistake. I recorded another session and I lost the footage. And by lost the footage, I mean I accidentally deleted it because I'm a goose. Thankfully, I didn't lose that much gameplay, but let me catch you up to speed. So, I made an auto arm, and this does exactly what you might think it would do. Does some of those ones. So that's the auto arm. Pretty cool, pretty cool. You may notice I have a small shuttle here. That's right, I managed to make a shuttle. Now both the auto arm and the shuttle are made out of materials that I already have access to. And I put an oxygenator in there too, and the thruster on it as well, which was made out of some ammonium. And I actually use this to go to another planet. I also made this landing pad, which I don't think I really needed to make on this planet. The reason I don't think I need that landing pad is because when I returned to this planet, I just landed on like my initial landing pad. So anyway, whatever, we got an extra landing pad over there. And then the other thing that I did is I actually set up some train tracks using a couple more rail posts. As you can see, it stretches quite far. I had to unlock the shuttle, the rail engine, the landing pad. I just got heaps of bytes from quests and researches, so it was no problem. As you can see, I've attached 2 generators to it. I just turn them on. Whee! You can also make rail cars and attach them to the engine and obviously transport a bunch of crap. It's crazy how many logistics things I've got. The solid fuel thrusters for the shuttle cost ammonium, so I collected some soil, chucked it in the centrifuge, claimed some ammonium, and crafted one. It's actually kind of useful that I had to come back here to show you guys what I did because I need some aluminium on my new planet, so I'm going to take some with me. These thrusters are good for 4 launches. And launch number 1 was to get into orbit, which gets you up to this view, where you can choose where you want to travel. This is the solar system. No, I accidentally traveled to Novus. That's not what I wanted to do. I clicked on the wrong thing. This didn't happen the first time. First time I successfully, for goodness sake. And launch number 2 gets you to another planet. As you can see, there are a bunch of naturally good landing sites on Novus. However, I did not want to go to this planet yet, so I decided to try that again. And this time I was more careful to avoid misclicking. Okay, we're going to DeSolo. That's where I wanted to go. So I just wasted a launch, but it just cost some aluminium and ammonium. It's not too expensive. From orbit, I was able to spy where I'd made my little base earlier. And so I of course landed nearby, so I could resume solidifying my position on this barren planet. Okay. Well, it's a shame I wasted 1 launch. This is where I landed the first time. As you can see, I've already dug up some resources around here. And this is the little fledgling base I have forming. This is the field shelter that I got as a reward for a quest, I think. And this is a bunch of crap I've collected. The only other thing I've really done here is I found 5 shells for the snail quest on DeSolo. And now you're pretty much caught up. Welcome to DeSolo. By the way, the day cycle here is way shorter. So I decided to keep the day counter in the corner there aligned to the day cycle on silver, which is roughly 12 minutes. So if the day counter seems to change at a weird spot, that's why. The next step for establishing myself on this planet was to make a soil centrifuge. This is a foundational machine for the colonization of any planet, because it of course turns soil, a readily available resource, into 7 useful nugget varieties. I dug a giant hole over here collecting compound, and in the process I connected through to a cave system. So I began setting up a line of tethers in preparation for exploring those caves in search of wolframite. I grabbed some resin from nearby, used it to begin crafting a large platform, but trying to print this platform highlighted a profound shortcoming of this base.
This base is kind of desperately low on power.
As a result, the printing was going extremely slowly. I'd spotted one of these research cache thingos nearby, so I powered it up, which popped the top off, and I scanned the item inside for a juicy 460 bytes. And then I was on the hunt for organic material, which was fairly sparse on this planet. There was a fair bit in this crater though, for which I was grateful. This allowed me to fuel up my small generators. And this is honestly still a rather pathetic power setup, but it's better than nothing. The large platform was finally done, so I placed the soil centrifuge on and fired it up to produce even more organics, before heading back into the giant hole I dug. I extended the tether daisy chain and soon found myself in the cave system proper.
Some free laterite. Tungsten.
This planet had cosmic snowmen too, and the mineral research samples down here gave roughly 80 to 100 bytes. Also, I found some fireworks, so there was only one thing to do.
Yeah, beautiful.
And not far from where I'd entered, I spotted what I was after.
This must be wolframite, yeah.
I collected my fill, and then realized this cavern was replete with various resources, so I was pleased about that. Except I'd wandered kind of far from my tethers, so I had a moment of mild panic as I tried to get my bearings.
So many of these things to scan, so many bites. But I'm literally gonna die of oxygen lackage. Oh, dude.
It's true, the lure of delicious bites is genuinely a threat to my life, because I just can't resist collecting it, even when I'm lost and low on O2.
Oh well, I'll just scan as much as I can and then die. Lost in this hell. Bro, how did I get so lost? I walked so far. I'm so close. I was right around the corner. No, it's just there. I thought I was so far away. I was just
Back at base, a smelter had finished printing, so I queued up another large platform, and as you can tell, I wasn't too bothered about dying, because as long as my dropped backpack was easy to return to, and in this case it certainly was, it wasn't that much of an inconvenience. I brought this rock out with me and whacked it onto research, because it's important to keep accumulating bites while on the grind, and I got my furnace established and set some stuff to smelt away, including some wolframite to turn into tungsten. This big research rock was set to yield about 1,000 bites, by the way, which is twice what you get from most research chamber stuff on my home planet Silver. I researched how to make tappers, small solar panels, small wind turbines, medium solar panels, and tall storage. I got a large printer established for this base, not that I had many large things to print, but it was good to have, and I continued to use the soil centrifuge to create resources using soil I'd saved up earlier. I was happy to realize I'd bought some zinc with me, as I turned it into a small battery to add to the pathetic power setup, and I next wanted to make some solar panels, but for that I needed copper.
I can't even get malachite here.
As you can see on this planet info sheet, DeSolo has high sun, so solar panels would have been glorious. But with no malachite available to turn into copper, I'd have to go off planet to actually make some. And so my crappy power setup persisted. I supplemented it with the RTG I carried with me for my backpack's power, just to get a little more juice in there. And I'd soon smelted my first nugget of tungsten.
Okay, we got a quest done, that's good. I think I just gotta progress as fast as I can.
I researched chemistry labs, and see how the power plug on the smelter platform is flashing red? That means it's low on power and not working at full efficiency. Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned it, but this base had really bad power issues.
I can get the landing pad printing. I do have a quest to set up a landing pad on a different planet, so that's good.
I also made a buggy for this planet, and...
Talk to me about this tall storage business. What on earth?
The tall storage is indeed rather tall, and rather unstable.
Alright, we made a landing pad. That is good.
I placed it down over in the crater where I'd landed my shuttle.
And we can start turning in quests.
I turned in the DeSolo shell quest, and received a terrarium, and...
I got another buggy and rover seat. I just crafted my own buggy and rover seat. I forgot that I was going to get that from a quest reward.
Oh well, bonus buggy, I guess. I then returned to my silly willies with the tall storage.
It really is just tall storage, but like why?
I put my generators on it for some reason.
Do generators work better when they're like high in the air? Probably.
I claimed a daggerroot seed from one of these spooky looking plants, and I placed it into the terrarium. I next added some tungsten, and I put in a good shift sucking up some soil to fill some canisters.
I have destroyed a lot of heal so far.
I filled up 8, enough for plenty more centrifugal refinement.
This base definitely is a lot neater than my last base. We add the soil. Beautiful.
I whacked some soil on to turn into quartz, and...
Okay, I think this was a dumb idea, putting it up all the way up there. It's very hard to, like, place my... I'll put it in this hole. Goodbye, tall pole, idiot storage.
Once I'd smelted some of that quartz into glass, I was able to begin printing my first ever chemistry lab. I turned in the quest to fill the terrarium up with stuff, and you know what's next. That's right, trumpet time, baby.
Yes! Another Lapras. Okay, what emotes do you want, my friend?
My friend here was keen for some dancing, much like Sylvie the Snail back on Silver. And soon enough, Usagi the Snail was my friend, happily at home in this glorious terrarium.
Let's put Usagi over here, so that I don't forget him when I go home.
I then popped the lid off my new toy.
Okay, chemistry lab. Woo. Organic and resin to rubber, carbon and compound to plastic. How do I get carbon though? Aluminium and copper. I can make rubber, plastic, and then a bunch of alloys. Oh, you get carbon from smelting organics. Oh.
I made a nugget of rubber out of 1 nugget of resin and 1 organic.
This draws 10 units of power per second. I'm only producing 5.5, I think. No wonder it's going so slow.
It was done fairly soon regardless, and so I had some rubber. I didn't really have a specific use for it just yet, but it was nice to have. It also helped me complete a quest for 1,000 bytes, and I got a new quest.
Print an atmospheric condenser. Produce a full gas resource.
I smelted some organics and finally got my hands on some carbon, which allowed me to make some plastic. While the chemistry lab cooked away, I headed into the caves where I extended my tether network and sucked up my fill of wolframite.
Dude, there's so many bytes. just free down here. It's like 300 just then. Another 200 here. Holy crap.
As you can tell, I was impressed by the large volume of bytes. The power situation at this base was so abysmal that the plastic was somehow still incomplete when I returned. The reason for this was that I'd used up all my organics smelting, so I had no fuel for my small generators. But somehow the plastic was finished, eventually. I got some more crafting, and combined that first nugget of plastic with a nugget of glass to create a medium resource canister. I eventually had 2 of those bad boys, and I made things a smidge tidier around here by filling them up with all the random compound and resin I had lying around.
Alright, so if I wanted to be super organized, I would just keep making a bunch of those.
But for now, it didn't feel like it was worth my time. I was better off focusing on progression.
Atmospheric condenser, plastic, glass, and iron. Well, I can't get iron yet. I need to go to a different planet for iron. Ah, field shelter. That's what I want. How do I make silicon? Resin and quartz. Okay, I can make that quite easily. Oh, I just realized I need methane. Okay, well, how the hell? So I need methane to make silicon to make a shelter. But to get the methane, I need iron. And to get the iron, I need to go to another planet. But going to another planet without the ability to make a new shelter to put on that planet sounds unwise, because how would I survive on the planet?
A conundrum indeed. I'd spotted some ammonium in the wild earlier, so I went and sucked up a bunch of that, and used some to make a new thruster for my shuttle. And I stacked my backpack with as much tungsten and wolframite as possible, and I of course grabbed my friend Usagi the snail. And then it was time to leave this planet for now, as I returned to my home planet Silver to regroup.
We're back, baby.
I gave Usagi a scan in the lab, and
You can sit next to Sylvie. Hello, friends. Lovely.
I'd received a quest to collect 3 malachite, so I zoomed off towards the mountains and collected a bunch. And when I turned the quest in, I received a rather strange new quest.
Place and activate the peculiar piece on the surface of Glacio.
It was another funky item that was going to turn into some kind of structure, perhaps another lab.
Interesting.
I did a bunch of smelting, and I made a chemistry lab for this planet, using some of the tungsten I brought back. And I was pleased to see I was already able to make an aluminium alloy out of aluminium and copper. Except,
all my bases suck for power. Why is there no wind?
yes indeed, my power troubles appeared to be universal. The aluminium alloy didn't take too long to cook up though.
There we go. Aluminium alloy. Solid fuel jump jet.
I could craft a jetpack jump jet thingo using aluminium alloy. However, I needed 5,000 bytes to unlock it first. So I hopped into my tractor and got busy. I tracked down as many of these researchable chunks as I could, whacked them on the trailer and into the research chamber. I soon printed a second research chamber and got that chugging along too. And I discovered something.
Will it auto? Yes, it does automatically take. Okay, that's cool.
If you didn't catch that, once the small generator ran out of fuel, it automatically picked up a spare organic nugget on the medium storage. So this was at least a small degree of automation, which I decided to immediately make use of. I crafted 2 more small generators and added them on. And now if I continually filled up the storage with organics, the fuel for those generators would be slightly less of a chore to restock. I collected a backpack full of organics for precisely that purpose, and continued ferrying research chunks back to base. But I was still about 1200 bytes shy of my target. So I paid a visit to a forest, because the forests of this planet have an absurd amount of snail shells to scan. And before long,
Here we go. 5,000 bytes, baby.
and soon I was crafting a jetpack with that aluminium alloy. And with my new toy attached to my backpack, I had a specific destination in mind. Soon I had made my way atop the gateway chamber. I plugged a small generator into here, and it did one of these ones. But there were 2 more plugs up here, so I figured more power was required. I collected some compound nearby, crafted 2 more small generators, and got all 3 plugged in and turned on.
Something's happening? Something's happening?
The pillars in the middle descended, until finally...
Okay. First step into a odd stone. Gaze. Origin node. Dim node. Wait, what? I've got to activate. I can activate 5 different. No, wait, 6. There's 1, 2, 3, 5 more on the surface, and then 1 in the middle. Okay, that's crazy. A core concept. Dig deep, find the planet core, and figure out how to turn it on.
I returned to base and turned the quest to activate a gateway chamber in, earning 1,000 bytes, and then I struck out in search of another gateway chamber. There was a purple marker on my compass off in this direction, so it wasn't too hard to find, especially once I spied the beam of light in the sky. I was soon repeating that power-up maneuver, and before long a second gateway chamber on the planet Silver was activated.
Go to the bright node. Okay. I'm in the abyss. Yeah, I can fast travel. Very cool.
I immediately fast traveled back to get in my buggy, but it was certainly good to know I could set up a fairly extensive fast travel network if I so desired. Once I returned to base, I headed into the caves, because I wanted to see if I could reach the core of the planet. The quest had told me to go there to solve some kind of puzzle, which was obviously somehow a part of the fast travel network. So I was thoroughly intrigued. It didn't take me too long to find a way deeper.
Oh yeah. It's a way deeper.
I attempted to dig a pathway down, but it wasn't gonna be easy. Over in this direction was a more promising option, but this happened.
Oh crap.
I desperately tried to place the tether high up on the wall, hoping it would reach all the way back up there so that I could bring oxygen down here, but I couldn't make it reach. I then tried to dig a ramp back up, but it was rather difficult to see what the hell was going on, especially once my power ran out.
Can't see. No, I'm so unprepared.
I then changed tactics and ran off into the dimness, hoping to find some debris with an oxygen filter or something to keep me alive, but no.
Well, that was an ill-fated expedition. How do you safely get down?
I decided I would not be doing that again until I'd figured out a better strategy to keep up my O2 levels. And I of course had no hope of retrieving that backpack, so I had to recraft my terrain tool attachments and oxygen tanks. Fortunately, this only cost a couple of zinc and glass, and I was soon back in top shape. I turned my attention back towards progression, and while I was sniffing around my quests and research options, I spotted this.
Portable oxygenator.
This sounded like it would be perfect for deep exploration down to the core of the planet, but I needed a nanocarbon alloy to make it, so that was a long way off. And for now, it seemed the main thing I needed was iron. I collected some laterite to turn into aluminium as I was running low, and
finally bringing this medium generator I got down here like a million years ago. And you can power it with carbon. Provides 9 units a second. It's crazy.
A respectable addition to my power infrastructure here on Silver. I then filled my backpack to the brim with what I thought would be most useful for a new base on a new world. And I headed to Novus, because Novus has hematite available, and hematite can be smelted into iron.
This planet apparently has medium hazards. Okay, it's fractal rows.
You may recall I had no way of building a shelter with which to set up a base here, so my plan was to never wander too far from my shuttle, as it does at least provide oxygen, if not power. I hoovered the nearby resources offered up by the pink planet, and I placed a small printer, which I powered with the singular RTG I'd brought with me. I'd had the foresight to bring the materials to make a medium generator. However, I also needed a medium platform to place it on, and carbon to fuel it, so it was going to take a while before I could get proper power up and running. First, I needed some resin to make more platforms, and a soil centrifuge. I found this lash leaf, which I assumed would try and lick me if I got too close, so I destroyed it, and I found a bunch of lithium. This was my first ever lithium haul, so I was quite pleased. And I thought resin would be easy to find. It was always plentiful on other planets, but as I wandered the biomes near my shuttle, I simply could not see any of the yellow candy anywhere.
I think I make a big mistake coming here. Dude, why is it so hard to find any resources on this planet? There's like no resin or compound. How do I bring more resources with me? Can I? Maybe in a medium shuttle I can? Includes 2 medium slots. Right, so with the medium shuttle you can actually take some stuff with you. I can actually make that. Aluminium alloy. Oh, I can make it.
This was a promising discovery, but I hadn't given up on colonizing this planet the hard way just yet. And finally, I found some resin, but it was a disappointingly small clump, and only yielded a few nuggets. Still, it was enough to get my medium printer set up. A glorious effort. But then I got sick of struggling away and decided it was time to leave. Fortunately, I brought ammonium and aluminium with me, so I crafted and placed another thruster on my shuttle, as the previous one had run out of juice, and I made sure to grab all the lithium I'd found.
Okay, well, at least I made a little, like, pathetic forward base kind of situation.
And off I went to visit the planet of DeSolo, because I'd remembered something very important. See, about 20 days ago, I unlocked the ability to craft packages. These can be made out of 1 graphite.
And we use packager on the portable base. This is what I totally forgot about, and then I can just chuck it on my backpack. Now we're equipped to go visit some more planets.
With that, I was ready to head back to Silver to work on some more tech to help make me an unstoppable planet colonizer. I turned in the quest to collect 3 lithium, and the follow-up quest had rather juicy rewards.
Print a medium battery and I get a large wind turbine and a large solar panel.
I researched medium batteries, setting me back almost 4,000 bytes, and I crafted one out of zinc and lithium.
Stores 512 units of power and produces 5 a second. Okay, that's pretty good.
That is more than 5 times better than a small battery. Great news. And the large solar panel and wind turbine I received as a reward for the quest were going to be very handy too.
Here's the problem. I want to make a medium shuttle, but I just spent all my bytes unlocking medium battery because I'm an Idiot.
I kept refinement chugging along and crafted a packager out of graphite, which I used on the medium battery.
I can fit a medium battery on my back.
This was great news for transporting power infrastructure between planets. I spent some time scanning stuff in the forest for bytes, but I soon gave up on that and cooked up some ammonium in the soil centrifuge, which I used to make yet another thruster, and I soon launched off-world.
I'm back to DeSolo because it's much faster to get bytes there. And then I'll craft a medium shuttle. And then it's going to be much easier to establish myself in new locations. True?
True, you can indeed get bytes a fair bit easier on DeSolo. I placed down the portable shelter and my new medium battery, and spent a good chunk of time collecting soil so that I could keep the centrifuge spinning, making organics for fuel and graphite to make more packages. My dogs were barking, and it annoyed me, so I said in a long-suffering tone,
Sush, miso, stop.
They did not stop though, flamin' dogs. I continued collecting soil and compound. Chunky resource rocks were transported to keep the bytes ticking along, and the reason I'd been collecting a large amount of compound in particular is because I wanted to fill up this medium resource canister with 32 of them bad boys for a quest.
Okay, we can turn that in. 500 bytes for that.
And the follow-up quest alerted me to this most intriguing machine.
Extractors automatically dig up resource nuggets. What?
I gotta get me one of those.
Yeah, this is sick. How do I get an exo steel? It's so expensive though.
I claimed some more ammonium from over here. This is pretty rare in the wild, and the main way I'd been acquiring it is by using up 2 full soil canisters just to get 1 nugget, so this was definitely much more convenient. I found this big old thing and it looked interesting. It had some free stuff inside. I found even more ammonium, maybe it's not so rare after all, and look at that delicious backpack full. By the way, I'd had 2 research chambers chugging away this whole time, but I was still a few hundred bytes shy of my goal, so I headed into the caves to accelerate things a little, and to stock up on more wolframite, because I might as well make the most of my time visiting this planet. Scanning all the little dooba schlackies shot my bytes well above target, so I finally researched the coveted medium shuttle, and with that my work here was done. So I packaged up the portable shelter, and I soon returned to Silver.
Alright, give me the medium shuttle, baby.
Woo! I still had 1 aluminium alloy lying around from that time I'd made the jetpack thruster thingo, so making a medium shuttle was actually quite easy.
It's kind of on top of the soil centrifuge, but these things happen. Here we go. Yeah!
The reason why this was an exciting upgrade is because of these 2 medium slots on the side here.
Yes, I can take the large solar panel with me. That's so convenient.
Between that and the medium battery I began crafting, I'd have a solid power setup immediately upon arrival at my next destination.
I mean, I've got a spare soil centrifuge, so I think I might as well just take it.
I'd gotten this as a quest reward at some point, and as we all know, soil centrifuges are a mainstay of any decent Astroneer's base, so this was a no-brainer. I whacked an oxygenator in, and soon launched for my maiden voyage on this medium shuttle. My destination was Calidor, a very sunny, arid desert planet. Out of the 7 planets, this was apparently the 3rd least dangerous. So in terms of hazard level, I was visiting the planets in order.
Yeah, boy! We made it. What's this? Whoa! Hey! It's shooting at me! Stop it! Rude.
You've gotta love a warm welcome. And I'll take a spiky research chunk thingo, no worries.
Got some cactus. Some cactus business.
There was a big old hole over here too. I took my time wandering about, looking for a nice flat spot to set up, and eventually settled over here. It was kind of far from my shuttle though, so I did some of these silly willies to transport that over. And look at these freaky spine lilies. I grabbed my machines off the side of the shuttle and got down to business. A small printer to make a medium platform, and look how big this solar panel is. Here's a random firework I found lying around.
Yeah. Whoa. Whoa.
I got the medium battery plugged in so it would at least start building up some charge. I unearthed this big satellite thingo, and it didn't offer much, but I did find yet another research chunk.
Look at this. This red section.
This red section looks scary. I tracked down some resin and had a sucking spree, and this gave me what I needed to print some platforms, so I soon had the enormous solar panel plugged in, and the soil centrifuge too. I admired the sparkly spice in the dunes, and concluded this planet was surely inspired by Arrakis in the book Dune. I got a research chamber crafting, I collected yet more nuggets, you know the drill, and when I returned I got that research ticking along. This planet was yielding even more bytes than the last. Great news.
Even though I'm crafting and researching, this thing's producing way more energy. Yeah, that's good.
Of course, the solar panel goes to sleep at night, but I hoped my medium battery would do a respectable job at keeping things ticking along during the darkness. And so, my base was rather well established in the span of about 2 days, significantly faster than I'd ever achieved before, thanks to the medium shuttle's handy storage space. I did some of these ones to collect soil. Delicious soil. I was victorious in a battle against another spiny Attactus, and towards the end of day 59, I placed down a smelting furnace and immediately got some clay smelting into ceramic. I was rather pleased by my byte gain in in this desert.
Getting so many bites while I'm here. This is crazy.
I slapped down a small generator setup to supplement my solar power, except I was rather low on organic nugs, so I had to aggressively suck more soil out of this cliffside so I could get the spinny winnie to do its thing. I found some graphite in the wild, and don't mind if I do, because much like ammonium, this was a pretty rare find. And when I returned, I slapped them organics on as fuel for my new generators. And then it was time to get tethering. I chained them all the way down into that giant cave I'd spotted earlier, where I spied something peculiar.
What is that?
And when I scanned a mineral, I was pleased.
150 bites down here.
Woo. I learned why these hazardous plants are called dagger root when I got stabbed on my way through here, and...
Oh, what? What the heck? What are these? Artifact. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Do you reckon I can put them in a research chamber?
I decided to clear the dagger root away before I headed back through to avoid any further stabbage. And the terrain was kind of janky to climb back up, so I did a little terraforming, but I was soon trundling back to base with my shiny new toy. It turns out I could indeed whack it in the research chamber, and it provided 1,000 bytes, which was actually kind of low compared to the other research chunks on this planet. Anyway, after that diversion, I returned to the caves where I found a red version of that artifact lying around, and some shells to scan in my quest towards rescuing this planet's snail friend. I also found laterite, so I claimed some of that, and I was soon enjoying that same walk back to base, with a red Rubik's Cube in tow this time. I smelted the laterite, which yielded the aluminium needed to craft a landing pad, and the first artifact finished researching, so I placed the red one in, and it was teed up to earn about 1,500 more bytes. I took stock of my quests for this planet. I needed to place a shelter or landing pad, which I'd already achieved.
And then beyond that, all I have to do here is scan the shells for the snail quest.
As I discovered before, on this planet, the snails are found on spiky rocks down in the caves, so down I went. I claimed a backpack full of yet more laterite, and after a little more exploring, I found what I was after. 5 out of 5 Calidor shells scanned.
What is this thing? Site pylon.
Indicator location of value serves as a rail line terminus to aid in transporting items.
Really?
At the time, I completely failed to appreciate that it said that this thing was deployed to indicate a location of value. But looking at it now, I guess there was something valuable just around the corner that I failed to notice. Goose on the loose behavior. I looked through my research options and couldn't find the site pylon in there anywhere. So I concluded that these cannot be crafted, and I guess they can only be found in the wild. This got me excited because I'd found a shiny unique item. So I did what any greedy dragon would do. I took it back to my lair to hoard it.
Oh no. Where'd it go? Oh, is it up there?
What? I left the train terminus here, and I figured I'd someday package it up and transport it somewhere that I'd like to set up some train logistics.
My bytes are absolutely skyrocketing. I love it.
I set up the landing pad, which allowed me to turn in the shell quest, earning me a terrarium, which I filled with copper and soil that I had handy. And I wandered over to steal a wheezeweed seed from this funky plant. And with that, the terrarium was ready, and it was trumpet time.
There he is, Stilgar. A friend.
Yay!
Hello.
I then got busy packing up, because the only other thing this planet offered for now was wolframite, which I'd already collected a fair bit of on De Solo. I soon landed back on Silver.
3 out of 7. There we go. Hello. Hello. Hello.
With that, 2 more Galastropod-related quests became active.
Provide an exochip to the xenobiology lab. Plant a seed to farm food for a Galastropod.
I still hadn't worked out how to get exochips though, so that was on pause for now. And I haven't mentioned it, but when playing Astroneer, I spent a fair bit of time scrolling through the research, quest, and crafting menus, trying to figure out my optimum path forward for progression.
Wait, I need an exochip for a trade platform. How the heck?
As you can tell, at this particular junction, I was bamboozled by the question, how do I get an exochip? I worked out I was able to make tungsten carbide in the chem lab, so I unlocked drill mod 2, cooked one of those up, and soon...
There we go. Drill mod 2. Get rid of my drill mod 1.
This meant my terrain tool was now capable of eating through even harder terrain. I then decided to investigate the weird exo request rocket thingo some more. So I headed into the caves and murdered some snowmen, stealing their weirdo items, and I crafted a cosmic automaton and some squashathane. I attached them to the rocket, but I still had a couple more things to add that I couldn't figure out how to make yet, and I assumed I needed to fill the whole rocket up with goodies before I could do anything with it, so I left it for now. This assumption was incorrect, by the way, but don't worry, I figured it out eventually. I set myself sights on a visit to Novus, because there I could get hematite to turn into iron. I checked my notes and discovered that it is a fairly windy and sunny planet. So I packaged up some wind turbines to take with me, and took the solar panel too, along with a bunch of other useful stuff of course, and I soon arrived at the pink planet. You may recall I'd visited here earlier and failed to establish a base. So I headed back to that same landing spot right next to my fledgling base, and I picked up where I left off. Except this time I was more appropriately prepared. In short order, I had a respectable base, except
I did not bring any soil canisters. That is a pretty big mistake.
This was a mistake because, again, as you may recall, resin is weirdly hard to find on this planet, and I needed resin to get canisters so I could get soil with which to make more resin. I popped the top off this research aid, and usually these things have an item you can immediately scan, but this time I got a big old research chunk to put in a research chamber.
Where's some resin? Oh, resin. Oh, resin. Oh, there's some resin. Ah, what is that? It slapped me. Thistle whip. How dare you?
I finally found some resin and collected enough for a few canisters. Great news. I also brought back and planted a thistle whip seed, which actually earned me an achievement for planting a bunch of stuff. Back on day 35, I randomly researched tappers, and now on day 67, I finally made one out of 1 aluminium, and I put it on this fractal rose.
I put a tapper on the rose and it's getting organic material for me. Okay, that's useful.
That is indeed quite useful. I sucked up soil, made resin in the centrifuge, I slapped a second medium battery into the power setup, and the big chonker solar panel. I spent much of day 68 getting a research chamber established, and as you can see, I had quite an assortment of crap ready to research.
This is the thing they got out of the exo thingo? Whatever the hell it's called. I don't know. It's got 5,900 bytes. Holy crap.
That was about 4 times more than I'd ever seen before. I spent the rest of day 68 setting up my large printer and smelting furnace, and then I finally realized something.
You can press C to drop tethers. Oh my gosh. This whole time I've been opening it up and then holding F over it. I could press C the whole time. How did I not know this? I'm so stupid.
You know, I really should look at the control menu on day 1, but I am a stubborn goose that likes to blunder my way forward. Well, better late than never. I headed into the depths where I found this crumbling stone, which I was able to crack, yielding a shelter scan and some quartz. I didn't have the quest to find shells on this planet yet, but it was good to know this is where they were hidden.
Okay, how much does this get me? 254. What?
I was getting some serious bites on Novus, very juicy, and soon I found what I was searching for, spiky red hematite. I collected a backpack full and put some on to smelt into iron when I returned to base.
Iron. Woo! Alright, let's make a landing pad.
I placed it here, right next to the base, and I'd completed a quest when I planted that thistle whip earlier, but I chose to hold off turning it in just yet because I preferred to make use of those rewards back on silver. I crafted a medium storage and loaded it up with iron because I had a question that needed answering.
I can. Okay, that's a good way to transport a lot of iron.
And the implications of this experiment's success were even more promising.
Because if I can put a resource canister on there, that's 32 that I can transport.
I wasn't able to make one of those here though. I needed plastic and I didn't have a chem plant on this planet. So I settled for filling up 2 medium storages. I collected more hematite and I set up a second research chamber because I still had a silly amount of research chunks lying around. And while setting that up, I earned an achievement to earn 100,000 bytes. Nice. Since I was planning to fill up my shuttle storage with iron, I would not be able to take my large solar panel with me. So I investigated what power options I could actually craft. And I realized I could already craft my own large solar and wind power sources. As back on silver, I'd easily be able to craft aluminium alloy out of copper and aluminium. So I unlocked both of those and felt more comfortable leaving my large solar panel behind. I'd filled the shuttle storage with 16 iron, but I still had room on my backpack. So I headed back down one last time to collect more hematite. And then it was time to pack down and go home. Give me that medium battery, give me that portable shelter, and off we go back to silver. The revelation that I could press C to drop down tethers had inspired me to think. What other useful hotkeys was I unaware of due to the fact that I am a goose? So after teeing up this important print job,
Alright, we finally get an atmospheric condenser crafting because I've got iron now.
I figured out this new trick. Not only can the terrain tool suck, it can also place down terrain, assuming you've got some soil in a canister. Not only that, it can be set to flatten the terrain. Again, better late than never, I guess. I saw my obsolete Drill Mod 1 lying around, so I checked to see if I could scrap it.
I can scrap the Drill Mod 1. See you, nerd.
And I set up my new toy.
Atmospheric condenser.
This thing collects gas straight out of the atmosphere, and different planets' atmospheres have different gas available in various concentrations. Silver had hydrogen and nitrogen.
We can just straight up get hydrogen? Is that what's happening right now? Huh. we got some hydrogen. Get some nitrogen too. Why not? We got gas, man.
I unlocked the remaining terrain mod options and did some crafting.
So now I've got the alignment mod, the boost mod, and the wired mod on.
And it was time to experiment some more with terraforming. I was hoping the alignment mod would allow me to flatten the terrain to the curvature of the planet, but...
No, what? Why is it going on that weird angle? What the hell?
Apparently, that's not how it works. It just flattens aligned wherever you begin the flattening process. This was still going to be rather useful, because as you can see, I managed to get some nice flat areas happening. But as I began attempting to turn the area over here into a glorious flat upon which I was hoping to build a neatly arranged base, I encountered a problem.
Dude, I'm not pressing. Why is it doing that? What the? Bro, as soon as I press E, it's just going nuts. I didn't press anything, you lunatic.
I was a big fan of the wide mod, by the way. It chewed up terrain and filled up soil canisters way faster. I really should have been using this earlier. I kept up my flattening efforts, and soon the real problem with trying to flatten a large area became evident.
Because the planet is literally curving onto the horizon, because the planet's not actually that big, it's actually kind of weird trying to make a flat area. It doesn't work very well.
I turned in the quest I'd completed back on Novus, plus a quest to collect gas, and I got these proximity repeaters.
When activated, also activates any items in range.
I couldn't think of a use case for these just yet, except for one.
It's a use case for it. It's to use that horn.
But this medium silo was a most excellent reward.
Can I just have this sticking off my... I can. Alright, well that's 24 slots. Storage, silo, 2 titanium. I can almost make it. Let's unlock it. Wait, can I put a resource canister on there? I can. It's putting them onto that though? Disable output, okay. So this is like an extra backpack. I can put whatever the heck I want on it. This brings 32 of one type.
Excellent news for my future expeditions to other planets. A few more quests had appeared. One of them was to make hydrazine.
Ammonium, hydrogen. Bro, I think I can make that.
Once I'd made 2 ammonium at the centrifuge.
Make me some hydrazine, man. We are progressing now, baby.
And soon it was done, and so was the quest.
I get a hydrazine thruster for that.
And I got yet another new quest.
Find vehicle data recorder on Visania. Blow up data recorder. Retrieve an exochip. Oh, is that how you get exochips? I need to start blowing stuff up.
I unpacked my new hydrazine thruster and attached it to my shuttle. And I attached the hydrazine I'd cooked up to one of the 3 fuel slots.
34% is 8 launches. Does that mean it does 24 launches total if it's fully fueled? That is much more convenient.
That is indeed how it works. I no longer had to craft disposable small thrusters. I just had to refuel this one with hydrazine. So I immediately began sucking up soil.
This wired mod is so good as well. Why was I not using it? I just filled up 4 canisters in 2 seconds.
And got some more ammonium spinning.
Honestly, this area was nice and flat enough before I decided to butcher it. What have I done?
I stubbornly tried to fix it, but as you can see, it wasn't working too great. It's kind of like trying to draw a flat line on the edge of a circle and expecting it to somehow line up nicely with the curve of the circle, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like I made everything worse, and now I'm suffocating. Did I make everything worse?
Yeah, mate, you made everything worse. I made a second hydrazine finally, and attached that to my rocket, and soon enough I was adding a third. So this shuttle was now prepped for 24 launches. That is 12 trips between planets before I would have to refuel. And then it was time for Plan B for my new base location. I cleared a bunch of organic matter while using the inhibitor mod on my terrain tool, which meant I didn't destroy the terrain itself. And I made use of these power extenders to run power over from my shelter. I'd soon set up a small, medium, and large printer on this platform. And because I am an idiot, I couldn't resist trying to terraform a little.
I wish I never found out about terraforming like this. I'm just making things worse.
And so, as I began relocating stuff over to this new area, I vowed to use only minimal terraforming, and otherwise just put up with the slight bumpiness of the natural terrain. My experiments with the tapper on that fractal rose had given me an idea, so I planted some trees over here, placed a tapper on, and...
If I turn you on, when that is done, will you put it into position? You will! You genius! Okay, beautiful.
I soon had 8 small generators on the platform. That is 16 units of power a second. And I wasn't sure 2 tappers were enough to keep up with their demand for organic fuel, so I planted a 3rd tree to place a 3rd tapper.
Alright, put a tapper on the 3rd tree. Wait, could I put multiple tappers on the 1 tree? Looks like I could. Well, you know, it's fine.
Those trees are growing at weird angles though, there is no doubt about it. I continued my power revolution. I added the chem lab and atmospheric condenser to my neat little production lineup, and I began crafting more small batteries out of zinc to add to the power setup. I decided my research chambers didn't need to be over in the new area, so I sat them neatly next to the shelter. And as part of my efforts to tidy up, I finally placed the Exo Request rocket onto a platform, and in that process I suddenly realized I'd never actually powered this thing up before. Turns out, once powered up, a delicious green button appears.
Okay, what happens if I send what I've put on there? Wait, what?
The random doodads I'd attached earlier, you know, the squashathane and all that business, had amassed a payload value, and that meant I was due for some loot in return, apparently.
It sent me back a bunch of crap!
Yes!
Oh, I got a QTITG, that's good. I got an exo chip out of that? Bro, I needed an exo chip.
Wonderful news. Also,
I have a quest to just unlock dynamite. Why have I not done that yet? Unlock dynamite, go on. Boom, quest done.
that gave me another RTG as reward, which is very handy, but it also unlocked another quest.
3 exo chips as reward.
To be fair, the reason I hadn't bothered unlocking dynamite is because I couldn't make explosive powder yet. But as it turns out, there are other ways of getting dynamite. For example, I got one from the Exo Request rocket.
Oh dear. I don't think I should have done that quite so close to my base. Oh, the exo case has chips in it as well. Okay, well that makes sense. Okay, now I'm suddenly swimming in exo chips.
I continued expanding out my base, trying to be as neat as possible, because neatness blesses my soul. Also, this was the first time I actually had a half-decent power setup, a great milestone. On day 82, I unlocked extra large storage, and began crafting one out of 2 iron and 2 ceramic.
Look at this thing. This is enormous.
I set up the medium shredder over here and began shredding some stuff. I placed an auto arm to pick up all the crap off the ground and placed it on this ridiculous storage dome. I began crafting an extra large platform, and it was nice to finally clear a lot of these nugs off the ground.
What do I do with this huge thing? That's a big boy, you know.
I set up an auto arm to fill up this gas canister with hydrogen, except I stole the arm from my power setup, so I figured I'd better put that back to avoid catastrophic power failure, and I plan to make a new arm soon. I headed into the caves below my base where I found something strange.
How did my tractor get down here?
Last time I looked, this thing was parked upstairs, so that was weird. I collected my fill of laterite and got that smelting into aluminium. I made some more medium canisters and began filling them up as a way to get even more organized. I turned in that quest to blow open a cache and earned 3 more exo chips, and I wanted to research some stuff so that I could make use of these chips, but I was rather low on bytes, so I grabbed some weird giant nuts to research, and soon I could afford to unlock the trade platform. I got one printing, using up 1 exo chip, and I went and grabbed some more stuff to shred, because the trade platform can trade the scrap produced by shredders in exchange for resources. As you can see, every single resource in the game can be acquired this way, though the high tier resources cost more scrap.
Astronium gets me exo chip and like useful items. What's astronium though?
I rounded up the scrap I had handy, attached it to the rocket, and sent it off to trade for quartz. That was another quest done, and the rocket soon returned, with 4 quartz attached. The machines at this base were drawing plenty of power. For example, the atmospheric condenser that was running constantly draws 20 units a second. So I decided to further expand my power, and began crafting some large solar panels. And I of course kept up with the other busy work all the while. Soon these 2 bad boys were opening up to catch the pre-dawn light of day 87. I used the aluminium I'd collected, plus some graphite, to get some auto arms crafted, and I set them up here, with domes in place to accept yield from the soil centrifuge and the smelter. So now smelting and soil spinning winnies were partially automated. Very juicy. I'd replaced the auto arm over here too, and the medium gas canister was completely full of hydrogen by this point. The wonders of automation. So I set the atmospheric condenser to collect nitrogen, the second gas available on this planet, and I placed down my second gas canister to receive it. I couldn't actually craft these gas canisters yet, so it was nice I'd receive these 2 as quest rewards. I spent day 89 prepping for another interplanetary adventure as I filled this silo up with goodies, and soon I had this juicy thing ready to slap on the side of my rocket.
I'm like ridiculously prepared for this expedition.
And so I zoomed off to Visania, another gloriously pink planet.
Yeah, boy. Okay, we made it to Visania.
It is always good to set foot on a new planet, no doubt. As I looked around, I couldn't see anywhere particularly flat, so I decided to set up right next to my rocket, as this would have to do.
I need some compound. Oh, dude, give me a break. Get out of here.
I soon had a decent setup going, made up mostly of stuff I'd printed off-world and brought packaged ready to go. I collected a bunch from nearby, I brought over any research chunks I found, and I placed a second medium printer to speed up getting this base online. Research was soon chugging.
1400 bytes, 200 bytes a minute?
And I soon doubled that. And I brought the materials to make an atmospheric condenser, so I got one of those printing. I got a landing pad cooking too. Soon the pad was down and the condenser was ready.
I can get nitrogen and hydrogen on my home planet. Although there's a higher concentration of hydrogen, I think, here. So I'd get it faster. But yeah, I want to get producing argon while I'm here and get as much as I can.
I planted some thistle whips over here, and after suffering a minor whip, I whacked some tappers on there and got one of these small generator power setups online. And I kept grabbing argon and chucking it on the ground every time I saw some was ready.
Wow, dude.
I don't know why I just don't walk near those things. It's really not that complicated. I added a third research chamber, because why not? And I got an auto arm set up here so the argon would automatically be placed onto the silo. Research was definitely still a big emphasis, so I deliberately sought out more chunks. And
So there's lithium and titanite here. I definitely want the titanite, obviously. I want lithium too, to be honest.
after finishing off the small generator setup, I popped the top off this thing, and this one here was a new variety.
Insert appropriate resource to unlock.
I worked out the symbol on it represented graphite, so I whacked one of those on there, and I soon returned to base with a second fancy research chunk. And then it was time to see about finding a cave entrance, so that I could spelunk and collect lithium. However, it wasn't quite so simple. These tunnels never actually connected with the cave network. They were all just on the surface. So after checking on my research,
And almost 6,000? Holy crap. Alright, so this is absolutely skyrocketing my bytes, which is great.
I decided to go have a look over on these mountains.
Is this a mountain or a cave? What the?
And it turned out titanite was rather easy to find.
There we go. There's titanite right over here.
This earned me the achievement to collect every type of material. I collected my fill and returned to base where I placed all the titanite in this resource canister. I carried the canister over to the mountains and had a good sesh sucking titanite up and filling the canister as I went. And soon I had 32 titanite and the canister was full up. As I headed back towards base, I whipped out this glorious slide.
Whee! Now I just want to find a decent amount of lithium in the caves. Slide uninterrupted for 10 seconds. Yeah, what an achievement.
I whacked the 32 titanite onto the shuttle ready to go.
I'm getting so many bytes per minute.
I hadn't had much luck finding a cave entrance earlier, so this time round I decided to dig my own. Once I'd tunneled my way down, I set up a tether chain, and finally I was in the caves of Visania.
What is that? Oh, is that lithium? There we go. That's what we want.
I'd barely walked 5 steps, and I'd found a hefty load of lithium. I brought a bunch back to the surface.
Oh! Oh! That's a serious slippery dip.
What? After that minor workplace incident, I ventured deeper into the caves, where I poked around a bit before finding some laterite to claim. I soon brought a bunch of that to the surface.
Got this quest on Visania. I gotta blow up a data recorder. I brought some dynamite, so I'm gonna go towards this thing.
And so I ran off towards the quest icon on my map for a bit, before realizing it was a terrible idea, as I would undoubtedly run out of oxygen if I tried to run that far. So I went in for take 2, but this time I'd made myself a glorious steed.
Oh, this is crazy terrain.
I spotted many curiosities in my travels.
Screw these things. Get out of here. Get out of here, little nobules.
And I think I may have had some trouble with treacherous terrain.
How much of the planet did I just travel? Dude, there are so many free wind turbines here. That's crazy.
I couldn't take any of them with me though, which was sad. And to answer my question, I don't know how much of the planet I'd traveled, but I'd gone pretty flamin' far, and I still wasn't there yet. But soon, in this forest, I found what I was after.
I didn't need to bring my own dynamite. I think I may have just gone flying, which wasn't the best plan.
The quest had been to find this data recorder cache thingo and blow it up. So, mission complete. I claimed the exochips from the blast crater.
This quest is done. And what did we just get? Bootstrapping. Find an MAT on Visania, and you got to decode data from an exochip. Material analysis transmitter.
Another icon had appeared on my compass for that quest, so I gracefully made my way towards it.
Dude, why is the terrain on this planet so silly? Bro, what are you doing up here, mate? Snowman? Snowman, you don't belong up here. Whoa, what the hell is this?
This crashed thingo had some freebies in it, but I sadly had a rather full backpack, so I had to be selective with what loot I claimed. And over the next hill I arrived at the MAT.
Resource sample request mode. Desired resources will be consumed to determine schematic information.
The first thing it wanted was an exo chip, so I whacked one of those in and it chomped it up.
Provide MAT with full hydrogen canister. Oh gosh. And I need graphite, titanium, tungsten.
So I'd received 2 follow-up quests, one to feed it gases and one to feed it some solid nuggies. This certainly was a hungry MAT. As you can see, there was a random hydrogen canister right here, so I put that in immediately. And when sucking up the gas, the MAT was absurdly loud for some reason.
That was much too aggressive. You need to calm down next time.
There was a hydrogen canister back at this other crash site too, so I grabbed that and at least gave it the 2 hydrogen it wanted. But to get my hands on the rest of the in-demand goodies, I needed to head back to base. And it just so happened one of these majestic things was on the path home.
How much power does it want? I believe this is insufficient power. Yeah. I need way more power.
Judging by how little that purple bar filled up, it appeared this gateway chamber wanted significantly more power than the ones back on Silver, which makes sense. I wasn't exactly sure of an efficient way to supply that much power though, so I left that as a problem for another day. And it would become a problem later, by the way, because I had to activate every single gateway chamber in the game for an achievement. Anyway, when I returned to base to stare at this giant pile of crap, I realized I only had 1 tungsten, and there's no wolframite on Visania, so the only easy way to get more tungsten for the MAT's quest was to head to another planet. But first I sucked up a bunch more lithium, and as you can see there was just a few argon attached to the silo here. I spent some time deciding precisely what I wanted to take back to my main base on Silver, and off I went. On day 101 I set up the canister of titanite here so the auto arm could place the titanite onto the smelter. As you can see, I hadn't really left enough room to do this neatly, so this made me realize to fully automate things I probably needed to rearrange a little, but for now it was nice to know this setup would smelt a bunch of titanium for me without the need to micromanage.
I just realized I can provide an exo chip to the lab.
I did exactly that, and the lab signal was boosted.
I've got a quest for Visania and Novus now.
2 more snails to collect.
Probe scanner, I need steel for that. How do I make steel? Iron, argon. Okay, I need argon. I've got argon. Okay, I can do this. Okay, there's some steel. Probe scanner, here we go.
And that was another quest complete.
Use in an auxiliary slot to locate missing probes.
Now that I had titanium, I was able to make more medium storage silos.
This has 31 slots, this has 24, so it's only got 7 less slots, but it's not a giant spiky igloo.
So the medium silos were definitely my preference.
Let's look into auto extractor. Exochip, yes. Steel, yes. Rubber, yes. Tungsten carbide. Tungsten, carbon. Yes, I can easily. I can make an extra large shredder as well.
And so after some tinkering with the chem lab, I printed an extra large shredder, and it was indeed extra large. And then I realized something about gas.
So every gas canister has 5 uses? What the heck? I didn't realize that.
That means the 32 hydrogen and nitrogen canisters I had amounted to 160 uses. That is a lot.
Alright, give me a auto extractor. And it looks like I'm gonna need extra large platforms now.
And look at this thing go. And meet the auto extractor.
Efficiently extracts resources over time without removing terrain. What resources though?
I plonked it on top of the compound over here, I ran power over, and the big hunk of metal began unleashing some violent slaps.
I mean, it's collecting compound extremely slowly. Is that good? Oh, it's putting them on top. We can get some serious shredding done on this thing.
I created a little mother and baby shredder set up here, and I put these used thrusters into shred. I automated the collection of the scrap being produced, and continued chucking debris from around the area in to be shredded. Since I'd brought home plenty of lithium, I used one to make a medium battery for this main base's power setup, and I'd completed a quest when I successfully used the auto extractor to dig up a resource.
Got unearthed done. Large resource canister. Holds up to 400 nugget. Holy 400?
That is indeed a big boy canister. And here I thought 32 was a lot. I needed tungsten, so I needed wolframite, and rather than go off-world to get some, I decided I might as well make use of the scrap I was producing.
All that scrap just for 4 wolframite. It's not the most effective thing you've ever seen.
But it is handy, no doubt. I made some tungsten carbide and used it to create a drill that can be placed on vehicles. But it didn't seem to want to attach to my buggy, so I concluded I needed a medium rover. And just as well I'd hoarded tons of bytes while on Visania, because I was still yet to run out, despite researching a bunch of stuff since arriving home. Now that I was using the chem lab a bunch to make various composite materials, I was feeling the burden of the finicky busy work.
Yeah, I mean, you really just gotta automate, like, It's so much work to get up and running, I feel.
I would have loved to fully automate everything to reduce that busy work, but it would have been a massive project. For now, I whipped out this medium rover, placed the drill, a seat, and a power source on there, and I got on the move.
Holy crap.
Turns out this is quite a good way to fill up soil canisters, but there is a slight risk of falling in a hole and accidentally tunneling to the center of the planet. I'd run out of zinc, so I headed into the caves to collect sphalerite, and while down there I had an idea. I placed a beacon right below where some sphalerite still remained at the top of the cavern, and I brought my auto extractor over to that spot above ground. This was kind of far from my base, so it took a bit of extension cable shenanigans, but I eventually got it powered up, and to my delight, it actually started working. But it was randomly collecting compound, so I was confused. I dug a little, and the terrain tool indicated that sphalerite was near, even though I couldn't actually see it, so I attempted to noodle the extractor into the hole. And this was just a little janky, especially trying to get power down there. But eventually, it began working, and collected more compound. I tweaked it some more, and finally, sphalerite was being mined. I then attempted to set up an auto arm to collect the mined resources, and this was even more ridiculous, especially when I realized the auto extractor had stopped working, and things started falling over willy-nilly. I tried some Spider-Man auto arm silly willies too, but long story short, I had wondered if perhaps the auto extractor would be able to infinitely mine resources it was placed on. And while it does mine more efficiently, yielding more nuggets than the terrain tool would, it does eventually use up the resource nodes. So the tiny amount of sphalerite in this ridiculous hole was not worth the effort. Well, at least I had a good chunk of compound over here.
I think the green bar indicates like how long it's gonna last.
Compound never goes out of fashion, so I set up the auto arm contraption here instead.
We'll see how much this fills up before that thing stops. It's a very janky mining setup, but okay, so that's how you do like a bigger mining operation. That's making a lot of sense, and I don't mind it. It seems kind of cool.
And then I went on a trip to the mountains, but I forgot to record because that's my party trick apparently.
I found this thing, a Kepler Space Telescope. The probe scanner I made earlier, I used it, and it basically pointed me in the direction of this thing. And then I put the probe scanner on this thing, and it unlocked, well, it just got the quest done. It didn't really do anything special. And that started a quest to scan the vintage probe on all 7 planets. So I've done 1 out of 7.
I also made good use of my tunneling beast, which was quite satisfying.
Oh, and I attached a research thing to my butt of my car. Seemed good.
The quest to find that vintage probe had a 5,000 byte reward, which was pretty juicy. And with that, I'd run out of stuff to do on Silver, so I headed back to Visania. I immediately headed towards the MAT.
Oh, we got some snails up here, by the way. Yeah. We can get this land's snail quest done.
I soon arrived at the MAT where I inserted all the goodies it had requested, and I headed back to base with 2 more quests completed. I turned those in and I received a follow-up.
It wants silicon and tungsten carbide now. I'm gonna have to go back there. There's one of those on every planet. This game has so much grinding in it. Holy crap.
Yes, indeed. It was beginning to really hit home just how much I had to get done in order to achieve 100%. I filled up the terrarium and did the same trumpet song and dance with this planet's galastropod named Princess.
Dance with me, princess.
And I soon gave her a home.
Hello, princess.
I figured I might as well grab more titanite while I was here, and I found a healthy dose of graphite too. I spent most of day 116 collecting and filled this medium resource canister with 25 titanite, but I'd mined out this mountain apparently, so I called it a day.
Next time I should bring a medium rover, 4 trailers, and put a whole bunch of canisters on the back. Hundreds of resources from the one trip, and then you never have to worry again. It's got to be the approach, right? I mean, the alternative is an auto extractor that gets way more efficiency out of the nodes, and then have logistics to bring it all home.
I headed back to Silver with
a great bonanza of resources.
I got the titanite smelting and
snail number 4. Welcome to the party. Up to 4 nerds. Hello, everyone. Bro, I can make a large shuttle. Oh, I didn't realize I could make a large shuttle already.
I had to make hydrazine and turn that into graphene, and I used that to make titanium alloy, but it was doable, and soon enough I was popping it free of its packaging.
That is a big old rocket. Medium craft, you have been upstaged. Large craft, welcome to the party. This can carry so much stuff, including just straight up big things.
I tried to shred my medium rocket, but it wouldn't let me. Sad days.
Very high wind on Glacio.
Glacio was my next destination, so I got busy prepping, making medium batteries, medium silos, medium canisters. I took a trip to the mountains to collect malachite, making good use of the medium rover's extra storage, and so I got 32 malachite smelting into copper, which was useful to make aluminium alloy. I sucked up soil to get quartz to smelt into glass, and with that I had what I needed to make a couple of large wind wind turbines, ready to make the most of the high winds on Glacio. And thanks to the largeness of my new shuttle, I was able to whack them both on there. I checked on the auto extractor, there were now 48 compound stockpiled, which is a lot. But I had to shuffle the big machine a little as it kept mining spots dry. Still, I couldn't see myself having a compound shortage anytime soon, so that was great news. I packaged up my medium rover, and there were some hilarious consequences.
Whoa, dude, what the hell? Hey, give me that back. That went flying when I packaged it. Come back here.
I was hoping the medium rover would pack down smaller than that, but no bingo. So I left it behind. But I was well prepared regardless, so off I went.
Our maiden voyage in the large shuttle. Feels good.
It was kind of an anticlimactic maiden voyage though, because I went to Visania to pick up the field shelter that I'd forgotten to bring with me earlier. And then it was off to Glacio, which as you may be able to tell is a rather icy planet. It has hematite, titanite, and argon available. So there weren't actually any new resources here, but there was still plenty to do.
There's no shortage of resin over here. Hey, it's one of those site pylon things. Is it? One of the train station things. And what are these? Freight module. And then there's hematite just chilling here? For iron? That's pretty good. Boomaloon. Whoa! That's what the boomaloon does.
It was nice and flat right here, so I got busy setting up shop, and I placed down that peculiar piece I'd received earlier, as it came with instructions to deploy on Glacio.
Peculiar piece becomes... Woo! Logistics Depot, Glacio.
The base was coming along nicely, and it now featured its very own train station. Impressive. I collected for a bit, and apparently the resource density was greater here because nuggets were popping out willy-nilly. I accidentally made the wrong machine.
Wait, what the heck? I accidentally made an EXO request platform?
I moved that accident out of the way and kept at it, printing up a storm, I got research up and running, and I printed and placed 2 medium wind turbines to get the train depot powered up. With that done, it next wanted an EXO chip, but I didn't have one of those, so I went exploring.
There's another site pylon thing right here. And there's another one over... Wait, is that another one over there?
And I gotta say, I love a good boomaloon. The multiple site pylons were intriguing to behold, and obviously with a train station back at base, this planet held great potential for excellent train logistics. I brought this exocache and research nugget back home, and if I blew this crate up, it'd have exo chips in it. So I wandered out hoping to stumble on some dynamite.
Is this an absolute butt ton of graphite? What the hell?
I didn't find dynamite, but I did pop the lid off this thing and claim a research chunk. And I made another research chamber to place it in.
7,400 bytes.
I added a third chamber too. Gotta get them bytes. When I found this cave, I developed a plan. I hadn't found an exo chip or any dynamite, but I could always collect weird baubles from these cosmic snowmen. I wandered about doing just that as I plopped down a trail of tethers behind me. I soon emerged to craft a cosmic automaton and squash a thane. And I didn't expect the exo request platform I'd accidentally made to come in handy so quickly.
It brought me everything I wanted.
But apparently, this rocket still owed me goodies from when I'd loaded it with weird stuff ages ago. 2 rocket loads to be precise. I was a little confused, but I didn't argue because it brought me the exo chip I needed for my train station. This unlocked the depot's potential, and I learned some facts.
Basically, the games encourage you to set up rail systems on Glacio, Calidor, and Silver. Glacio's got heaps of stuff to scrap. Silver's got something to investigate in the mushroom layer, whatever the hell that is. Calidor has all the research artifacts.
I blew up the exo cache while holding it in midair to avoid any unsightly craters, and claimed 3 more exo chips. After a bit of busy work, I crafted a rail engine and slapped that on there, progressing the quest line.
It just gave me a drill mod 3. Which means I can lose my drill mod 2, right?
So now I was able to suck up all terrain in the game. It also gave me a couple of rail cars to attach to the engine. I began placing rail posts, extending out the track to reach the nearby site pylon, and I received 2 transportation quests.
Transport freight modules to logistics depot on Glacio. Transport frozen argon to logistics depot on Glacio.
I needed 10 of the blue crates, so I got busy collecting those.
Can I go backwards? I can.
There were 5 over here, a stone's throw from my base, so I snaffled those first, and then I decided it would be wise to link the rail network to my main power setup. I then went to open this box thingo over here, but I forgot to bring my extra O2, so it got a little dicey.
I forgot my O2 canister thingos. Run!
Fortunately, the rails actually provide oxygen, another great benefit of rail logistics. It certainly saved my life in this case. Apparently I gave up on popping that thing open because I next wandered over to see about creating a track over the hill. Except rather than over, I figured through would be smarter. And so some more track was laid.
Rail junction bundle, okay.
I placed one of these over here, and so a junction formed where the track could be switched between multiple directions. I zoomed off towards the next cluster of blue boxes.
Well, we made it over here.
This train business was definitely quite fun. I like to zoom. I soon brought the 10th and final freight box back, and I was rewarded with 3 scrap for my troubles.
Got 60k research bytes. Delicioso.
I extended the tracks with another junction, and I collected a couple more freight boxes to see what would happen.
Okay, it didn't put it in there. So I guess I've just got to shred this.
So I guess Glacio is the place to go if you want stuff to shred. I placed a landing pad, and I began extending the rails towards the cave entrance.
But how am I going to get a train track down here? That seems crazy.
I needed to head down there with a train to collect frozen argon, but it seemed like it'd be a bit of a headache, so I put it off for now and instead researched a bunch of random stuff to complete the 100 schematics quest, claiming a QT RTG as reward. I then returned home to Silver, and
The final resources I need are all the gases on Aatrox: helium, methane, and sulfur. There's no notable resources. This planet is all about the gas.
And so I spent the next couple of days preparing for a trip to the final planet, Aatrox.
Okay, we come to Aatrox. This place looks stinky, man.
A gloomy, stinky planet indeed.
Elegant spew flower. I don't like the sound of you.
These weird plants over here had some weird goo on them, which was weird. I planted some dagger root here because I had plans for them. And surprise, surprise, I forgot to bring my field shelter, but I stubbornly began setting up anyway. However, I soon gave up because I'd also failed to bring sufficient resources, and this planet seemed rather light on stuff to collect, so back to Glacio I went. It was time to overcome the difficulty of extending the train network underground with a nice, big, beautiful hole.
Yeah. Okay, what happens if I call the train here? Yeah, boy. Okay, I think we're in business here.
The main resource that I always seemed to run out of was aluminium. So this was a quest to fill up a medium canister with 32 laterite to get ahead in the aluminium game.
This is the most unhinged rail network I've ever seen in my life. It's fine. This is totally normal. This is a totally normal rail network. I love it. Okay, we got a ton of laterite there. That's great.
But in typical goose on the loose fashion, I logged out at this point, and when I logged back in, it had been a few days, so I totally forgot I'd collected all that laterite, so I left it sitting on the train. At least I remembered the field shelter.
There we go. Another quest done. Shelter on all 7 planets.
I resumed setting up all the stuff I'd carted over to this planet, and one machine I'd brought a few of was small generators. You see, Aatrox has very low wind and very low sun, so this wind turbine I brought was going to be pretty useless. Accounting for this, I'd gotten the ball rolling on a generator setup. While I worked on that, I also got condensers printing.
I mean, pretty much the only thing I need from here is a bunch of gases. So if I can at least get the atmospheric condensers established. Alright, you can start getting methane. Go on. You can get sulfur.
These two machines were already drawing significantly more power than I was producing, and when I added helium production to the equation, things only got worse. And you want to know something even more goose-tastic? The resource I needed was aluminium, to make more tappers and auto arms so that I could scale up my generator setup. And clearly, I had completely and utterly forgotten about my bounty of laterite on Glacio, because I returned to Silver to restock. I brought a bristly red rock with me.
How much does a research item from Aatrox get you? 3,000. Seems good.
I was glad to have 75 compound piled up in this big thing, because over the next couple of days I crafted 24 more small generators, which cost 1 compound apiece. I collected laterite, got aluminium cooking, and began crafting a rather large amount of tappers too. This involved multiple trips down to suck up more laterite, which was tedious, and I contemplated putting the auto extractor down here but ultimately could not be bothered. If only I had a brain capable of remembering how good my train system was over on Glacio, I could have collected laterite way more efficiently. Alas, my brain is quite small. I did move the auto extract onto this ammonium though, because as you may recall, ammonium is a bit of a pain to get, and rather rare in the wild. So I figured since auto extractors efficiently extract much more resources from each node, if there was ever a resource to prioritize automating, it was ammonium.
If this can produce 24 ammonium while I'm not looking, then I'll be pretty happy.
And I soon returned to the beautiful land of Aatrox.
So I literally parked on top of my soil centrifuge, which I respect. I respect that.
I got down to business, the business of small generators and many tappers. These 2 dagger roots got absolutely covered.
Tappers, 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 tappers. Is this thing kind of slow at making organics?
It is, because the speed of production is actually split between the tappers, and therefore it is pointless to have multiple tappers on one plant. Don't worry, I figured that out, and I began collecting as many seeds as I could. I'd brought like 8 auto arms with me, along with a bunch of medium silos, so I set up automatic collection of these gases.
Alright, we got methane, sulfur, helium.
As you can see, I successfully expanded this cluster of plants, and I set up an additional 8 small generators. But I still needed way more plants, so I wandered off on the hunt for seeds.
I'm just gonna have to jam them in there, you know? What have I done?
A problem arose where I could no longer even see half the tappers in there, so I couldn't move them onto their own plant. The only solution for this was to destroy the whole lot.
Oh gosh, I may have created a mess.
I filled in the hole and got busy replanting.
Why is there no power? The hell is going? Oh, dude.
That is one minor consequence of planting 300 dagger root in your base. I began placing tappers, doing my best to ensure it was one tapper per plant, and I'd soon added 16 more small generators, making that 32 total. I spent some time fiddling with the positions of the auto arms, and it seemed all 32 generators were being fed organics pretty much as soon as they needed it. That meant this setup was producing 64 units of power per second, and these 3 condensers were using 60 units a second. So this setup, plus the small amount of wind and RTG power being provided, was more than enough to keep this base chugging along nicely.
It's got to be one of the jankiest power setups you've ever seen. Yeah, whenever the wind turbines actually spin, we get a nice little boost. But they don't spin very much.
And that was pretty much all I wanted from this planet. 24/7 production of helium, sulfur, and methane. I turned in the quest to settle on all 7 planets, and that earned me 2 more QT RTGs. So I whacked those on for even more power certainty on this planet, and I returned to Silver with as much endgame gas as I could carry.
I've got a quest to make a nanocarbon alloy, so let's make a nanocarbon alloy. I already made some titanium alloys. Yeah, I already made steel as well. Oh, I made extra earlier. I'm so smart.
So all I needed to do was shoot some of that sweet helium gas in there, and soon the quest was done.
And this gives me the schematic for the portable oxygenator. Boom. And I can make it straight away. This is what I've been waiting for. Portable oxygenator. Yes! Produces oxygen when powered.
This meant I could dispense with my oxygen tanks.
If I take my RTG off, it uses up power pretty quickly, but with the RTG on, this is producing 1 unit a second, this is using 1 unit a second.
It was now impossible for me to run out of O2. Great news. I unlocked the RTG schematic and had a chem lab session until a second nanocarbon alloy was ready.
RTG. Boom. Wait, is it bigger? Oh, it is bigger. Oh.
This is when I realized an RTG is different to a QT RTG, those little ones I'd been receiving as quest rewards.
That's pretty cool. That's 4 units of power a second. That's a lot.
I whacked it on here and turned in the quest.
Claim this is my second QT RTG, which I'll carry with me everywhere.
This second one was to power my terrain tool and its attachments, which all draw a little bit of power. I then went on a bit of a rampage unlocking every schematic, just to see how far my 53,000 bytes would get me. These weird sensor thingos were interesting.
It looks like obstacle course equipment. There's like hoops and arches and ramps.
I unlocked all of the large printer schematics and quite a few of the remaining medium printer ones.
Large resource canister, large storage, large silo. I am gonna need some more bytes.
I unpacked my medium rover, stole the RTG and put it on the back, slapped a medium silo on there too, and it was time. Time to descend to the core of the planet Silver. Now that I had my oxygenator, I was no longer at risk of dying from a lack of O2, so I had the confidence to go deeper. I dug and fell and dug some more, until I discovered something new.
What is this mushroom?
I tried digging it up, but that had rather outrageous consequences.
What the? It just disappeared. Should I try blow one up? I brought a dynamite. Go run, you idiot.
Sadly, that didn't achieve much either, so I decided it was time to keep on digging.
Delve greedily and deep. This is the mantle. Okay, I reached the mantle depth of the planet.
The mantle level has many a mushroom, as I discovered while free falling.
Mysterious mushroom can be deconstructed with explosives. Ah. I shouldn't have wasted my explosives.
I zoomed about checking out this layer of the planet before continuing my descent.
Let's just get to the core, man.
Except at the end of this big dig, I emerged, still in the mantle. Let's try that again. This time I was better with my angles and soon I was free falling deeper still. I poked around for a bit, but I needed to go even deeper. I soon hit very dense terrain.
Oh, now we're going real slow. Travel to the center of any planet. Okay. In a multiplayer game? Am I in a multiplayer game? What the hell?
I'm not sure how I got that achievement, but I guess my game was technically set to multiplayer. Anyway, it was rather gloomy and green down here. I soon found a strange substance I'd never seen before, so I dug a bunch of it up. This was the fabled Astroneer, a rare trade resource.
We take as much of this crap as we can.
I soon had a silo full, so I carried on searching for the gateway engine.
Oh, here we go. That's what I was looking for. Oh gosh. What the hell? I just fell onto it. Gravity is shifting as I walk around this thing.
I began digging the big purple thing free, and it turned out to be much larger than I was expecting.
So trippy, man. Okay. Look at that thing. It's just floating off. Wait, what the hell? What the hell? Oh, good lord. Find a gateway engine. Okay. Oh, so that was just a thing sticking out of it.
And that is a rather impressive planet core.
Okay.
There was a pedestal here with a symbol on it that I didn't recognize.
Can I just walk up this wall? Yep. Ow.
This side had 3 pedestals. I tried placing Astroneer on there before referring to my chart.
I think this is the symbol for quartz. That's the symbol for quartz.
That inspired me to check the charts for the symbol here, but it wasn't anywhere to be found. I jetpacked up to check out this weird yellow thing. I guess this marks the exact center of the planet, and I wandered off to see if I could find some quartz. I was worried I'd lost my truck, but then I spotted it above me, or below me, or something. And then I was lucky enough to spot quartz nearby. I returned to the core with 3.
Okay, it liked that. Wait, what? My Astronium. Okay, it ate all 3. Geometric triptych.
They slowly floated up, and I was confused.
The hell's going on?
I walked to the other side to investigate.
Why are there 3? What the hell? Why'd it give me 3? I unlocked the core. Okay, I can just travel out now.
I liked the way this thingo moved around, so I played with it for a bit, and then I checked out my new quests.
Visit the unidentified satellite that has been revealed in the solar system. What? Multi-core processing. Activate the cores of every planet.
But for now I had the task of getting out of here, somehow. Obviously I could fast travel up, but I didn't want to leave my tractor behind. So I attempted to ramp upwards. And to summarize what happened next...
Get me out of here. I shouldn't have brought this entire vehicle here. There's nothing I can do.
Yeah, I could not get it out. There was no chance. I was sad to leave behind that bounty of Astronium, and I tried to find graphite to make a packager to package up the RTG, but even though I could have sworn there was some right nearby, I could not find any for the life of me, so I gave up on it.
I'm not using a big old rover again. Which one's closer to my base? The north one or the south one? I have no idea.
The purple void pooped me out topside, and though I'd suffered some losses, I was pleased to have successfully activated one of the 7 cores. I had a look at what Astronium could buy me.
I can get a portable smelting furnace and a gravity globe.
I'd only managed to bring 5 home though, so no Astronium prizes for me today.
That is a good amount of ammonium. Holy crap. And it's still going.
Delicious bounty of ammonium. I then zoomed into space.
Where's this satellite? Oh. Go on then. Okay. What? What on earth?
It's nice to see the mysterious creators of the teleporter thingos match the purple decor on all of their various locations. Up on this platform was a teleporter, capable of taking me to the core of any planet, assuming I'd activated the gateway engine there. My quest had updated with new instructions, so I teleported to Silver's core, picked up one of the geometric triptychs, which conveniently snapped onto my backpack, and I returned back to the satellite.
There's 1. Alright, 1 out of 7. Cosmic Silly Willy's geometric triptych.
Who knows what happens when you place all 7 and activate this thing, but I could only imagine it would be quite the spectacle. For now though, I touched down on Novus, and this marks the point in my playthrough where I kicked into another level of grind mode. Because I'd progressed to the end game, but I still had quests to finish, achievements to unlock, and I still wanted to automate my base into a glorious factory. First quest off the list, finding Novus's galastropod. I scanned the snail fossils inside these rocks, filled up the terrarium with local delicacies, enjoyed some dancing, and...
Okay. Hello, Rogel.
I then did something very silly. I descended to the core of Novus. While down there, I grabbed some Astronium. That's not the silly part. Here is the silly part.
Why does it look like it's already activated? Oh no, it's not open unless I do a gateway chamber. I was like, I'm so smart. I'll get the core done while I'm here. I'm so dumb, you mean?
Prime dingus behavior, no doubt about it. The core cannot be accessed unless you activate a chamber on the surface. And with no chambers activated up there, I don't know how I was expecting to get out even if I could activate the core. But anyway, who can decipher the mind of a goose on the loose? I brought home some research chunks I'd had lying around, so I whacked those on and I scanned my new friend.
Alright, the lineup grows. Ooh. Welcome, Rogel.
That 15 minutes of nonsense getting to the center of Novus and back out again wasn't all wasted, because at least I brought back enough Astronium to buy a gravity globe.
Bring me a globe.
While I was waiting for the rocket to return, I placed 2 exo chips into the snail lab, unlocking the quest for the final 2 snails on Glacio and Atrox. And then it arrived.
What?
That is indeed a wonderful globe.
8 Astronium well spent, no doubt.
I made some hydrazine to refuel my shuttle, and this wasn't much trouble now that I had a good stock of ammonium. And I headed to Glacio to track down some frozen argon in the caves. This involved extending out my rails, and along with the fancy red cubes of argon, I grabbed some research chunks too. On my first trip out, I mused on the glory of train logistics.
I mean, this is the way the game's meant to be played, right? If I set up auto extractors down here, it would be crazy.
I was underwhelmed with just the 2 rail cars though, and I realized I could add 3 more, so I got crafting.
The train system on this planet is officially nuts. I can literally carry 10 things back with me.
This was a process of inching my tracks forward 1 rail post at a time, then making use of the call nearest car function to bring my train over, and of course chucking them chunks onto the train. Soon the cars were full, and once unloaded I was up to 7 out of 20 frozen argon collected, and these research chunks were beginning to pile up too. After that I didn't play for a few days, and when I next played I had a random new quest.
Exodynamics is accepting a variety of salvage types. Activate event. Huh?
I turned it in and got a weird flower. It turns out this was for the Exo Request rocket, and a new event was now active, so cosmic snowmen no longer haunted the caves. My train tracks got a little ridiculous as I delved deeper. Check out these wall tracks, next level.
Oh yeah, I'll take a Hispine capsicum. Bell pepper, as the Americans say. Bell pepper, man. Give me some of that bell pepper. Riding on a train through the cavern depths on a frosty planet known as Glacio. It's a roller coaster of joy. I've got lots of joy in my heart because of this roller coaster. Where is Flamin' Argon? I've got no idea.
I simply could not find frozen argon, so as you can see I brought an abundance of research chunks out. I went on another research rampage just to check if I needed even more bites, and yes, even after this spree there was more to be researched. And then I remembered that quest stuff appears on your compass, and so I delved deeper still with some impressive track placement.
Yeah. Upside down silly willies? Yes, flawless.
I collected up the argon, used my extremely safe train tracks to good effect, and on day 162 I collected the final 3 frozen argon chunks I needed. To conclude the rail logistics missions on Glacio, I received a funky gift.
Deploy on Calidor? No way.
So I guess this was another train station for me to set up on the June planet. I decided I wanted to head to the core of Glacio while I was here, but this time I was smart enough to go to a gateway chamber first, where I used the extremely laborious method of small generator spam to power it up. This took a long time collecting compound to craft the generators and collecting organics as fuel, but I got there eventually. Though I swore not to do any more gateway chambers this way because it's very tedious.
Hey.
Looking at the planet map, it appeared there were 6 gateway chambers on Glacio, which prompted me to brainstorm efficient ways of activating them all, which reminded me of some research stuff I'd noticed.
That's a mission reward. If I can get this thing could save my life.
That aircraft research plus a hoverboard research are the rewards for MAT quests. The hydrazine jetpack looked interesting too. And so my priorities changed, and I did not head to the core of Glacio just yet. I did hang around for some exploding though. 1 exocrate and 1 chunk of ice revealing a snail fossil to scan. But sadly, I'd only found 2 dynamite in my wanderings, so I'd have to return with more to finish the snail quest. For now, I filled a medium silo with laterite, and I returned to silver. I brought one of these big boy crates with me, so I whacked it onto shred. I think it produced 3 scrap total. Had an advanced crafting session at the end of which I made a hydrazine jetpack, along with hydrazine with which to fuel it. My old jetpacks were liable to break at any moment, so this was a reassuring upgrade. I then headed to DeSolo to knock over some quests.
Are you serious? There's one of these things here.
I can't believe I paid 8 Astronium for one of these fun balls when they're just lying around in the waste of DeSolo for free. The first quest I knocked over was blowing up this thing, and I know I swore off powering these things up with small generators, but this one required way less power than Glacio, so I decided I could be bothered.
Oh, there's only 2 on this planet. Because it's a little moon. Just a little moony moon.
I next fired up my probe scanner. This thing is made of 1 steel, and I'd used one earlier on silver when I forgot to record. It spins about and indicates the direction of vintage probes. It soon led me here, and I knocked another off the list.
That is 2 out of 7 vintage probes.
The follow-up to blowing up that cache had been to track down this planet's MAT, which I soon found, and promptly knocked over. I fed it an exo chip and unlocked a shopping list of stuff to bring it, much like the other MAT back on Visania. I didn't have all that on me, so I immediately got distracted. My new priority was supposed to be finishing the MAT quest to earn a juicy research reward, but for some reason I couldn't resist going to the core of DeSolo. And guess what this gateway engine wanted?
It's zinc? It wants zinc? I thought it would be something in the immediate area at least. I can't be bothered getting zinc.
Of course, because I'd failed to get the core activated, I could not teleport out. So 10 points for me, for being a dingus wasting heaps of time digging up and down and around like a goose on the loose. I was out of tungsten, so I sent some scrap off to trade for wolframite, because I wanted another auto extractor. I also wanted another field shelter, so I crafted my first 2 silicon using delicious methane.
Large resource counts of glass, titanium nanocarbon alloy.
I made the field shelter. I worked a bunch to get a nanocarbon alloy, which is quite a mission, as it's the most difficult resource to get in the game. And why was I doing all this? Well, my shortage of tungsten and other resources, along with the extreme fiddliness of making stuff in the chem lab, had brought me to a conclusion. It was time to automate on another level. And so on day 170, I arrived on Calidor to get the ball rolling. I set up the new field shelter to leave here permanently, and I quickly threw together an automatic power setup. I never wanted to be low on tungsten again, and that meant I needed a steady supply of wolframite. And guess what resource is plentiful in the mountains of Calidor? It wasn't exactly convenient lugging all this crap up here, but I soon had the most gravity-defiant setup you've ever seen.
Look how full that green bar is. Surely that is like hundreds of wolframite.
And I'd placed one of the enormous canisters, so it'd fill up to a max of 400. Wolframite shortage officially addressed.
There's some on the floor right here. Why did I could have done on the floor.
Yeah, so I wish someone had told me wolframite also spawns in the valleys between the mountains. I claimed about 10 wolframite to tide me over back on silver and left the auto extractor to work its magic. After some prep work, my next destination was Visania, where I zoomed forth in my buggy. I followed the sonic guidance of this probe scanner and soon found this hunk of metal nestled in the mountains.
Boom, vintage probe.
And then I returned to the MAT. I gave it 2 tungsten carbide and 2 silicon. And I'd googled what else it wanted before coming, because I couldn't be bothered having to do another return trip. And so I had the 3 exo chips it wanted as its final meal, ready to go.
Activate. Whoa. Yeah. Whoa. Oh goodness. Run. Run! Hello? New schematic VTOL. Yes. Yes! I think that's the flying thing. Okay. Yes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's what I'm talking about. That's the good stuff, man. I mean, that uses a ton of hydrazine.
And so I returned to silver with a juicy new vehicle. I got busy expanding my base, with dreams of megabase automation glory. Step number 1 was to set up a second chem lab. I was going to need a ton of hydrazine to fuel my shuttle, my jetpack, and my VTOL aircraft. And since I had plenty of ammonium thanks to the auto extractor, and plenty of hydrogen that I'd saved up earlier, it was quick to get going. This isn't fully automated because I still had to refill the input resources, but it was much better than crafting one at a time. By the way, I was a big believer in auto extractors by this point because this thing had produced about 100 ammonium already, while barely making a dent in the node here.
That's lots of hydrazine, so seems good.
I'd automated ammonium and wolframite collection so far, and purely because I'd totally run out of iron, hematite was next on the list. Glacio was the obvious place to set this up, since it's got hematite just chilling on the surface, and I of course had a rather large rail network here. I also mined clean another hematite vein to tide me over.
Can anyone explain to me why I've still got a pop crawl here? It's very hazardous.
I began expanding my smelting operation, setting up over here next to the landing pad. I moved my existing smelter over too. I set this first one up to constantly smelt organics to produce carbon, and the one next to it was producing iron. So I set up a chem lab here being fed both the carbon and the iron, and automated some steel production. I then remembered large platforms with medium spaces on both sides exist, and I wondered if they might be a better option than extreme amounts of auto arms, as I figured containers placed on these side platforms would auto feed the machine. But then I encountered another issue. The auto arms were grabbing the wrong things and clogging up the operation. While looking through my crafting options to see if there was a filter I could craft, I did some research and hit a milestone.
Okay, I've officially unlocked everything I can with bytes. That's pretty crazy.
And then Google told me how to filter. You just place the resource you want the arms to grab onto this little slot here.
Now it's filtered to actually take only those items. Okay, nah, that makes more sense. All right, cool. I can turn everything back on now.
And so I'd managed to automate steel production. I used some of that steel to print this enormous silo. And I began printing a bunch of medium generators, which I placed all over the big boy silo. I began planting a rather large number of trees over here, and I made one of these glorious curvy large platforms upon which I placed 2 smelters. By the evening of day 181, I had carbon being fed into the 12 medium generators. I planted yet more trees and placed yet more tappers, and there's a cheeky power setup. This thing was producing a whopping 108 units of power a second, but the 2 furnaces and auto arms were using 12 units a second, so 96 units were being provided to the base at large. I hoped this would go a long way towards powering the base as it expanded. These curvy boys had given me an idea, as I'd decided my steel setup was too chunky. I got something a little like this cooking, but didn't quite get it operational yet because I needed way more plastic to make way more medium canisters to actually get my plan off the ground. I soon had a plastic setup here, with carbon and compound loaded and ready to go. I also attempted to rejig the carbon setup, but it didn't quite go to plan, so I just ended up with a slightly more compact version of what I'd had before. This beautiful setup was ready to poop out plenty of plastic, but I also needed quartz to make more canisters, so I got a bunch cooking in the soil centrifuge. To get these smelted, I hijacked the second furnace. I added another chem lab to the chem lab lineup, another smelter to the smelter lineup, and it was starting to come together. And I'm aware I just spewed forth a rather large amount of complicated automation shenanigans, but this was only the beginning.
Every machine would have to have its own medium canisters or gas canisters, so you could kind of swap them around when ones were empty to refill these ones. Yeah, I can see it working. You'd have to make so many canisters, but that would be alright.
I made my first fluid and soil canister, which apparently holds 24 small canisters worth of soil, and I figured the way to fill this would be with a large rover. That got me rather low on exo chips, so while it was crafting, I wandered to a nearby exo cache and blew it up to claim a couple more. And this thing looked promising, but I wanted to make a tier 3 drill for it, which required some chem lab shenanigans to make a diamond, so I parked it for now. I made an auto extractor and headed back to Glacio to get a graphite setup going, because graphite was the key ingredient in diamonds. I also made my first explosive powder out of carbon and sulfur, which I used to make some more dynamite. On Glacio, I picked up the hematite that had accumulated, I got a very juicy graphite setup pumping, and I headed into the caves where I blew up some big chunks of ice and scanned some snail fossils. But the terrarium demanded argon, and I did not have an atmospheric condenser here, so I had to head off-world. I got the hematite smelting, grabbed the argon, and soon I was doing some of these ones. I returned home with enough graphite to make the graphene needed to make the diamond I was after.
Use the chemistry lab to synthesize each composite material. Ah, that's all the materials. Nice. My first diamond.
I used it, plus a titanium alloy to get the tier 3 drill cooking, and soon the beast was ready to go. The giant soil canisters began filling up, but it was tricky to collect soil without drilling into the bowels of the earth. This is because I sucked at driving and didn't realize I could aim my mouse to go upwards. Basically, I made an absolute mess of the place and nearly fell into about 8 caverns in the process, but soon I had all 3 canisters full.
If I use this for resin exclusively, it's 36 times 8 resin. 240 plus 48, 278 resin.
So this was a rather efficient way to make use of soil centrifuges. Great news. As you can see, you just chuck a small canister on there to fill it up.
This is full up of steel. Okay, we got so much steel, that is crazy.
There was a good chunk of plastic stockpiled too. I moved the hydrazine setup over here, new and improved, making use of the canister auto feed mechanics so I didn't need so many auto arms. And I finally remembered to scan my friend from Glacio.
Wee-hee-hee.
I added a second soil centrifuge and turned much of the soil I'd collected into quartz, and soon 2 more were added, one for clay and one for compound. With improved resource production and collection, I was able to print stuff more quickly, and the operation continued expanding. And I was churning through the abundance of soil I'd collected at a rapid rate. Eventually, I hit a roadblock when I ran low on aluminium. I tracked down a decent laterite vein in the caves nearby and set up a track, and I soon had a deliciously janky setup down here collecting laterite. Wonderful news. With plenty of plastic and glass stockpiled, I was able to make medium canisters willy-nilly, and these were the glue that held everything together logistically.
161. Not bad.
161 wolframite stockpiled while I wasn't looking. Not bad indeed. My newfound ability to make lots of medium canisters was indeed very juicy. It meant I could bring a bunch with me to replace the full canisters I wanted to return home for processing, which came in handy on both Calidor and Glacio, where I collected a good haul of hematite and graphite.
But that's like a 2-minute trip here, and I get 32 of each of those. Seems pretty good. Got organics into carbon, we got quartz into glass, laterite into aluminium, hematite into iron, clay into ceramic. I'm about to get the tungsten fired up. Alright, the tungsten is set up, and that's gonna last. I'm pretty sure this tungsten is gonna last forever. There's like 156 in there.
The Chem Lab lineup grew too. I moved the landing pad out of the way because it was cramping my style, and I planted a few trees here to get organics collecting, which was particularly useful because once a few had collected, I was able to slap them onto the rubber Chem Lab, and finally, rubber was set to stockpile a bit.
Steel, plastic, rubber, pretty much up and running. I just need to get the auto arm on. Hydrazine, running nicely, but I need to put more ammonium on. This will be something, not sure. This will be graphene, but I need to bring more graphite here. Organics, automated, and then lithium and graphite I have to ferry over, which is kind of annoying. And then we got resin, quartz, clay, and compound here for soil shenanigans.
The transformation of the base so far took me about 25 days, which is around 5 hours. Getting this set up wasn't exactly quick, but it was very satisfying. The base was coming along, as was the interplanetary mining and logistics. I had another session filling up soil canisters, since the soil centrifuges were working overtime. I got the graphene offloading system set up, and 57 laterite had piled up at the auto extractor, so I grabbed it.
Laterite, give me the laterite, yeah. Laterite, yeah.
I extended out the train track so that it could be brought right to the smelting lineup, and now the aluminium was set to flow freely. I next automated titanium alloys.
Titanium alloys are popping off now.
And then the big one, nanocarbon alloys.
Nanocarbon alloys are being created. Woohoo!
That is pretty much the most precious material in the game. Fully automated. Very nice.
Ah, what the heck? What? Where's this hole here?
I then headed to Glacio, and one excellent thing about producing nanocarbon more freely is that auto extractors were now way easier to craft. And so I soon had a titanite mining operation chugging away in the caves of Glacio. Nanocarbon alloy is also handy to craft large resource canisters, so while here on Glacio I picked up the hematite and graphite that had piled up, and I left the big boy canisters to fill up to their enormous capacity of 400. With a base full of glorious automation, I was ready to get on with achieving 100%. When I landed on DeSolo, I was mildly perplexed.
What? Why is my landing pad here?
This was a random broken landing pad I'd found at some point, and I had been bamboozled. I launched and landed again, this time actually at my base, and I needed 1 zinc, just 1. But it took me about 8 minutes of running in the caves like a goose on the loose to finally find some sphalerite, which I smelted into zinc upon my return to the surface. My daughter then did a perfect impression of me.
Oh, you cheeky monkey.
Oh, I could get it.
This is so convenient. And we're here in like 2 seconds. Okay, this thing is absolutely beautiful.
And so continued my quest to turn on all the gateway chambers. And to power up the ones on DeSolo, I'd brought an RTG.
Oh, does this need to be on a platform? Oh, for goodness sake.
I found some materials nearby and made a small printer out of compound, powered it up with a QT RTG, and printed a medium platform out of resin. I connected the RTG plus my 3 QT RTGs to the power input, but I was still 1 unit of power short, so my plan for powering up the gateways of DeSolo had well and truly failed. Luckily, I'd found a random wind turbine nearby, so I made another platform and got that plugged in.
Can the wind please blow so this thing can work? Where the wind at? Okay, the wind is not reliable enough on this stupid planet. Oh. Is it gonna stay windy enough? Stay windy. Stay windy. Please. It's not windy enough.
So I collected more compound, crafted a small generator, and powered that up with organics as fuel. And finally, the second gateway chamber of this moon was powered up. I'd done the other one earlier, so I was now ready to head to the core. But first, I spotted something intriguing.
Look at this thing. Take photo. What? What? That's kind of a glorious photo, to be honest.
This is the moon of Silver, the most Earth-like planet in the game, so I see what they did here. I also had an MAT quest to finish on Solo, but I'd come prepared. I'd googled the quest chain and brought every single material I needed with me, to ensure I didn't have to make any annoying return trips home. And so, after I'd fed it a few morsels, the second MAT quest was complete.
Can I blow up this thing for me? Maybe it can. It did!
A very convenient explosion. The reward for that MAT quest was a hoverboard, by the way.
Alright, we activate the core, and we know the core wants zinc.
I flew to the gateway chamber and got digging.
Whoa, I got to the center in like 2 seconds. What the hell?
The moons are definitely much smaller than the planets, and in short order I was at the core. I got into the habit of googling what each core wanted too, because again, I couldn't be bothered digging all the way down to the core, only to discover I needed some obscure material, meaning I have to climb all the way out and blah 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 blah, and so I had 2 zinc with which I claimed 2 geometric triptychs. I plonked one of them here and activated the engine.
Second gateway engine done. Beautiful.
I teleported to the satellite and placed the second triptych down.
Nice. Alright, we're moving now, bro.
And that was a wrap on the quests of Solo.
I've got an achievement to salvage 50 things, so I feel like I should get that now.
And you know what'll make collecting all the salvage easier? A hoverboard.
No way! No way, dude. This is ridiculous. Hell yeah. Oh my gosh, combined with the jetpack is crazy. Oh dude, if I just hoverboard, it's really fast anyway, and I don't waste hydrazine. This is nuts. Why did I not get this 5 hours ago? It only draws 1 unit of power a second. I can do this infinitely.
And I was able to grab big old chunks of debris and zoom forth, carrying it as if it weighed nothing.
I can just zoom while carrying something massive. This is so convenient. Why did I not get this 5 years ago? I swear I do this every time in games. I just take my time, like, oh, I'll get that next time. Oh, I don't know what's going on. If it says it's going to give you a hoverboard, just do it immediately. Why wouldn't it's a hoverboard, bro. What are you smoking?
Even with my new hoverboard, it took me ages ferrying debris back to base, but after a good session of cleanup, I was finally done.
Oh, here we go. We got it. Scrap 50 objects. Let's go. Yeah, what other achievements? Dance on every planet. We can do that. Airborne rover. Launch 10 fireworks in 10 seconds.
But first,
silicon, resin, quartz, methane.
I got to work on that, even though I barely had any methane lying around. And I made sure to keep the soil centrifuges ticking along because that was the main way I was gathering resin and quartz. Soon enough, I had the silicon setup done. I finally automated both hydrogen and nitrogen atmospheric condensers too. I headed to Atrox and did a pickup of helium, sulfur, and methane, and I made sure to leave fresh gas canisters behind to fill up. And with that, my silicon setup now had a lot of methane. I also automated explosive powder.
Alright, so I've almost automated everything now. I'm missing sphalerite into zinc and malachite into copper because I just don't seem to need much zinc or copper. At the chem labs, I'm missing diamond because I don't think I need diamonds for anything. Aluminium alloy as well because I don't seem to need that very often.
And it was time to make some fireworks.
Get ready for the most glorious fireworks display you've seen in your life. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I didn't get to watch it because I was too busy pressing the ignite button, but I'm sure it was beautiful. Maybe I should have been zoomed out. That was stupid.
There's an achievement to get 10 seconds of airtime in a rover, so I tried doing some sick jumps, but it did not work out. I decided to leave that one for later and instead got back on the grind powering up gateway chambers. For silver, the chambers only need 6 units of power, so I used a chain of 4 QT RTGs and 1 small generator to get the job done. And so I zoomed about getting busy.
4 out of 6. Boom, that's 5. 1 more.
And soon I was done.
That didn't take me long to do the last 4. I think I'd done 2 already.
On the way home, I got up to some serious silly willies.
Oh gosh. Why did I do that? I accidentally jumped out. Where did my vehicle go?
I had a lovely time panicking, thinking I'd somehow made my precious aircraft disappear. I even climbed to the top of the mountain to see if I could spot it floating somewhere.
Is that it? Wait, I think that's it. Please. Yes! I thought it disappeared. It just... Alright, that makes more sense. It just seemed to disappear when I jumped out. I was worried.
After that exciting episode, I headed to Atrox in search of snail fossils. On this planet, these are found below elegant spew flowers. I'd soon collected 5, and it was time for the literal song and dance of snail summoning.
There we go. I danced on every planet. Yeah. Hey. Final one. That's all 7. All 7 of my friends.
I placed all the glastropods up here, and...
Oh, damn it. I didn't have them all facing the right way. Whoops. Beautiful. Why 2 of them are facing the wrong way?
This song went on for a whole minute. It was actually a little outrageous, it just wouldn't stop. And then, I accidentally restarted it.
Oh, no. Oh, I accidentally restarted the song. No!
And so I had successfully taken care of the lost snails. Lovely stuff. I then packaged up my aircraft and headed to Calidor, where I had another train depot to place.
I really didn't want that to be on a weird angle, but anyway.
This was the follow-up to my train shenanigans back on Glacio, and now I had to collect some goodies from the Dune planet. Except I needed a bunch of stuff including exochips first, so I had to head back to Silver to restock, and I got distracted.
I should try and make one of these sensor things and see what the hell it is. Give me a large sensor ring. Now if I jump through it...
Yeah, I have no idea what this is for.
So I'll just do that. Alright, see ya.
Back on Calidor, I powered up the train station, and it was rather convenient I'd randomly brought this side pylon to the surface all those days ago, because it helped me progress the quest immediately.
Transport artifacts. Find and explode an obelisk in the mantle layer. Goodness gracious.
It was time to get to work. I laid down a track into the caves and found a cluster of artifacts rather quickly. Soon enough I'd found 5 more, and that task was complete. I only had 1 random dynamite on this planet, and I figured I was going to need more than that if I was going to blow up obelisks down in the mantle layer. But rather than heading back to Silver to collect some, I decided to do the rounds firing up gateway chambers. The chambers on Calidor require 12 units of power per second, so it was getting a little out of hand plonking down all these small generators, until I had an idea. All I needed to do was print a medium platform upon which to place my medium storage silo, and then I could just plug in the platform rather than placing 300 generators down and chaining them all together. Except I made a mistake.
Yes. Oh dear. Oh dear. This isn't good. Oh dear.
Yes, I got stuck. I could not get out, and I had to reload the game, which took me back to when I was still at base. Now that I knew I needed to make a bunch of medium platforms, I stocked up on a little resin, and I got back to it. I also had to regularly collect organics to fuel the small generators, but using medium platforms at least meant I could just leave them all sitting on the silo. I made a fresh medium platform for each chamber, because it was cheaper to just use 1 resin to craft new ones rather than 1 graphite to repackage every time. And you get the idea. I flew all the way around the planet powering up the purple thingos.
All 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nice.
I then fired up a probe scanner, because I also wanted to complete the quest to find all the vintage probes. I soon found Calidor's vintage probe over here. I whacked the probe scanner on, officially scanning the Hubble Space Telescope.
That's 4 out of 7 of the probes found.
I returned to Silver and crafted a bunch of dynamite, and then returned to continue the train shenanigans on Calidor. I had to get down to the mantle layer of the planet, so this involved a lot of digging, and some rather dodgy train tracks scaling the wall of this enormous cavern. I pulled the tracks along until I found some obelisks, which I of course blew up, and I collected the shards. A few explosions later, I had the 10 that I needed. While I was this deep, I figured I might as well take the tracks that little bit deeper to the core layer, in case I ever wanted to farm Astronium and bring it back to the surface easily. While I was down there, I paid the core itself a visit. I'd brought the 2 explosive powder I needed, so I claimed my triptychs, activated the core, and placed one of the triptychs on the satellite too.
Well, that's 3 out of 7. Nice.
I took the absolutely ridiculous train track back up through the caves of Calidor, and I returned the 10 obelisk shards to the depot. The follow-up quest asked for a bunch of materials. I was able to give it just an exochip for now.
Alright, it wants aluminium alloy, tungsten carbide, and copper.
I returned to Silver, where I got distracted changing my appearance.
I kinda like the lab suit.
And soon I'd return to Calidor with the necessary materials. And this quest had a most excellent reward.
Coal train.
There was also
Another one of these things.
back on Silver, I set up the coal train.
It seems faster, and it's got a pretty cool face. That's sick.
And I set up the 3rd and final logistics depot. After completing the logistics missions on Glacio and Calidor, Silver was the final frontier of train silly willies. After powering up the depot properly, I learned what I was instructed to collect this time round.
Okay, mystery shrooms. What? And astronium. Okay.
I was also awarded another train station, at which you can apparently automate loading and unloading of trains. I got the coal train fully set up, but I was not in the mood for laying down another giant train track, so I instead headed to Visania to fire up some gateway engines. This was exactly the same drill, except 16 units of power per second were needed, which meant I needed 6 small generators firing alongside the 4 QT RTGs. And soon enough,
That's all 6.
one thing to note is that all this flying was using up quite a lot of hydrazine, but thanks to my automating efforts back on Silver, it was easy to refuel every time I visited the green planet. And you of course know the next step.
There we go. That's exactly what we want. Oh, I went straight in. That was sick.
I'd brought the necessary graphene with me, so that made 4 out of 7 planet cores now active, and another big pink spinny thing for the satellite. I then had to teleport from the satellite back to the core of Visania, and from the core to the surface, and then it was a fair bit of land travel back to base, which was no problem thanks to the hoverboard. After some chores and a restock back on Silver, Novus was the next destination. I tracked down the Mariner probe first, and then I got busy powering up the gateway chambers. Mercifully, Novus is a moon, so it only had 2 to activate, and it's also much quicker to dig to the core, and I'd brought the necessary silicon with which I claimed my triptychs, and so the core was activated, which by the way, each of these gateway engine activations earned an achievement, and
5 out of 7. 2 more to go, 2 more to go.
I needed 2 diamonds for my next destination, and as you may recall, I didn't bother automating these, so after falling in the random hole again, I set up an extra chem lab and got some diamonds cooking.
Glacio, time to go. The Glacio.
With that beautiful song to buoy up my spirits, I zoomed about Glacio, and my first target was the vintage probe.
Oh, that's gotta be it. Yep. That's a UFO, man. Uh-oh. Oh, dude, what is that? Oh, my ship just went flying. Bro, it just exploded the ship. I scanned it, and then it blew up immediately after, because that thing was shooting things at me. Also, my ship went flying, but it's all good.
Glacio is light on organics, so every time I saw a patch of this grassy stuff, I stopped to suck it up, just to ensure I had enough fuel, and Glacio's chambers needed 26 units of power per second, so there were quite a few more small generators firing away. But beyond that, you know the drill. I powered up all the gateways, which took quite a while because I kept having to farm organics, but I got there eventually.
Oh, here we go. Big golf balls. Okay, diamond. Core number 6 activato. Alright, add Glacio to the mix. 6 out of 7. Un amore.
After the annoying amount of organics farming I'd had to do to maintain so many small generators, for the final planet I was smart enough to BYO organics, a full medium canister worth. I first headed to the vintage probe on Atrox.
Alright, get that on there. Ooh. Sputnik. Oh, he's waving. Einstein-Rosen Bridge. Wait, what? Who's this? Take photo. Ah! Can I take a photo? Greet the Wanderer. I think I took a photo. Wait, he took a photo of me. Oh, I said hello to the Wanderer. Take a picture. What the heck? That was all 7 probes, and then as a result, the Wanderer appeared. And he took a really crap photo of me.
Another achievement, happy days. Once again, you do indeed know the drill, except Atrox, being the final planet, required 30 units of power per second to fire up the gateways, which was just a cheeky 2 extra small generators. Soon, I'd visited all 6.
Solve all of the gateway chambers in a single game. I believe there are 34 total. And now, all of them are done. What a grind, honestly. It's so aggressively red. Such an aggressively red tunnel. Deeper and deeper. Oh, that's what we want.
These final triptychs emerged after being fed some hydrogen.
The final core! Woo! 2 more achievements. Solve all of the gateway engines. Let's go. Boom, 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 boom. Churning through the achievements now. Let's place the final one of these things. Why are they spinning in sync? I didn't think they were supposed to. I feel like that's not happening properly. But anyway, let's place number 7. Go on then. Odd stone. Wait. Did I want to do that? Uh-oh. different galaxies? I didn't mean to do that. I've still got achievements I need to get, bro. I've still got achievements I need to get. Don't... Oh. What is this? A radiant portal. Who are you? Oh. Where the hell did I just go? What? A burrito. Disappeared off the face of the earth. It's generating a new Astroneer. Sending a new Astroneer. For Paul. Oh, rest in peace, Paul.
So I beat the game, I guess.
You spend all that time figuring out how things work, and then you just disappear through a portal, and then whoever I work for, I guess, just sends a new version of me down to do it all again, over and over again. Is that the vibe I'm getting? I don't know.
Either way, I still had 5 more achievements to chase down.
Okay, so 3 of them are multiplayer achievements, which I can get really quickly. I need to fly in a rover, basically, which might actually be hard, and then I'll get an achievement for getting all the achievements.
But first I had some quests to do involving trains. I dug down deep, laying tracks as I went, until I got to the mushroom layer, which required some rather ridiculous track placement, and soon enough I was throwing these funky mushrooms onto my train.
We're on the mushroom joyride. Yeah. Whoa, this is not safe.
I delivered 4, headed back down, delivered 4 more, and after stowing the final 2, I kept digging deeper, because I also needed to collect 32 Astronium, and for that I needed to hit up the core. This was kind of annoying, because the only Astronium I could find was awkwardly halfway up the walls of the cavern, so it took a while as I flopped about. I threw the chunks down and transferred them all into the canister at the bottom. Soon I was back on the surface, depositing the remainder of the requested goodies.
Oh, confirm shipment. Training complete. Wait, what? New mission, help. Wait, did I summon someone? What? Elysium crew assistance required, emergency. I'm stuck. Help, 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 help. Hit the green button. Use fault finder to spawn EVA unit into simulation instance. Instance resonance achieved. And I got a fault finder? What the hell?
I thought I was nearly done with the game, and out of nowhere, I was hit with a big twist in the story of this strange universe.
What is going on?
I had to use this fault finder to find faults, I guess. Rifts in the fabric of reality.
Use fault finder to spawn EVA unit. Oh, hello. Hello. Emergency virtual avatar. She needs your assistance with her mission. There's a whole new mission. Are you serious?
So apparently I am in a simulation, and Eva here had finally managed to find a way to communicate with me, presumably from outside the simulation?
Have you found a curious item yet? I need you to find one and use it. It should not exist, but that's why I need it. It will help us disable the firewall so you can access the control room.
I'd found a few curious items way back at the start of the game, and they had cryptic messages from beyond. I'd left a couple lying around right over here. Now that Eva was here, they were more useful apparently, so I used one.
Oh. Travel to the sun? Excuse me?
I will happily go to the sun, no worries at all. One problem though, my rocket was still back on Aatrox, because the game had pooped me back onto Silver after I went through the weird portal earlier. So I spent ages plopping through gateways, but eventually Aatrox, and a glorious reunion with my shuttle.
Okay, so when you say go to the sun... Sunroom. Okay. We're going to the sunroom. Oh, yeah. Okay. What is going on in here, man?
I was behind the curtain, in the control room of the simulation. But what is the point of this simulation? Why is someone trying to communicate to me from the outside?
Warning, data corruption, immediate reboot. Okay. We rebooted. Hey! That's actually such a sick tail. It's like a cosmic tail. So did I just fix everything? Who's that?
Apparently, that is Kronos, and it was time to have a whole bunch of Astroneer lore dumped on my head. Basically, the ESS Triton went missing 5 months ago, and with it, Kronos' sister Undyne disappeared, and Kronos was looking for her. Meanwhile, the Elysium, on which I think Kronos went to look for his sister, had also sustained damage, causing issues with the Astroneer training program of which I believe I was inside. This is why weird stuff like the curious objects were appearing in the world.
Planted seeds on Novus that shall act as decryption keys once they fully germinate. I have updated Eva's protocols to ensure she understands exactly how to use them, and to what end.
So for some reason Kronos was trapped, and he'd sent Eva on a mission on his behalf. So far her mission was to make contact with me, and next she wanted me to go find these seeds on Novus that have information encrypted on them. I was mildly confused at this point, but off I went to collect some fractal rose seeds. I thought these fractal roses were a little wacky when I first saw them, and now I finally knew why. Once I had some seeds, I was sent to plant them on Visania, 3 in the valley biome and 3 in the mountains. And with that, another fault finder appeared. I set off to find faults, and immediately died. Nice one. Let's try that again. After following the fault finder's lead for a bit, I ended up over here.
Okay. Memory code fragments.
I had to collect these up and bring them back, which took a bit of doing because one was quite high in the air and the other was hiding, but soon enough...
Kronos memory ready for decryption. Show me what's what, Kronos.
Kronos' memory was sucked into the thingo, and off I went to the sunroom to have a look-see. I guess Kronos had lost his memory, which is why we needed to find these. I don't know, but it seems to be doing something to the floaty fella.
Undyne is gone and the Elysium is in trouble. We found what was left of the Triton. I don't know what manner of creature attacked us, but I could hear it whispering, laughing. I've transferred the remaining crew's consciousness onto the Astroneer training program for now until I can figure something out. I could not save Undyne, but I will save them. My crewmates must survive.
Apparently someone named Dr. Stone, who we learned a little about ages ago from one of the curious objects, had gone crazy, corrupted by something called the LRD number 16. He had caused the Elysium to crash, and I was a crew member, and now my consciousness was stored in the Astroneer training program. And so I'd just been doing all the training missions, except now Kronos had found a way to communicate with me.
They won't stop laughing? Kronos. That's just weird, man. Why is this turning into a space horror?
I do not know if I'm right about all of this, but the simulation that I was in was breaking apart, and Kronos was trying to save it so that he could save us. But in the process, he'd worn himself too thin, and it was up to Eva and I to save him. I went and collected a bunch more fractal rose seeds, and my next destination was Atrox.
Oh, the quest was going to give me 6 more seeds. Oh well, I don't need them now.
Yeah, I should have just turned in the quest to save myself a trip to Novus, but whatever.
Alright, we got fireworks on the nipple. Ready? Okay, that didn't really work how I was intending, but that's fine. We love to see it.
After the glory of those nipple fireworks, I planted 3 fractal roses in the canyon and 3 in the dunes, and I enjoyed some more silly willies collecting glowy things. This time, a few of them were buried. Soon I'd bottled another of Kronos' encrypted memories, and I was back to the sunroom. One more burst of remembrance for my floating friend Kronos.
The Astroneer training program is holding steady as a safe harbor for the Elysium's crew. I can't seem to manifest myself properly in the program, however. I've spent countless hours walking at their sides like a ghost, unable to properly explain what happened to them. Whether or not they can see me, whether they remember me, they live. I want them so badly to live. I'm definitely a consciousness plugged into a training program for Astroneers, so I don't really know who I am.
Yes, indeed, and the simulation is in trouble, which means I'm in trouble. So it was time to head home for a quick refuel, where I also remade the mods for my suction tool because when I died earlier, I'd forgotten to collect those. But then I planted fractal roses in the mountains of Calidor and in the caves too. I took the fault finder back to the surface, and this one was a little different. It had me running around making a shape on the ground.
Wait, what? The heck is going on? I'm making a star or something? Beautiful star? Yeah, okay.
Another memory of Kronos neatly captured. Also, the Wanderer's camera was here. Apparently his mind was too corrupted. He'd be trapped in this simulation forever. And I guess I stole his camera?
Ooh, that's a moody photo, dude. That's an album cover. Yes. Hope. Integrate that hope into your heart, that you might prosper. This should allow the Astroneers to help me repair the communication nodes under the guise of the training program's mission. Oh, so my missions were actually helping Kronos fix the the communication system.
So my adventure had helped to repair Kronos' communication system, with which Kronos hoped to send an SOS to Exo, so Exo could then come and save those of us trapped in the training program. But one more thing was needed: power with which to actually send the message.
What is going on? I think I'm too stupid to understand what is going on.
I planted yet another fractal rose, this one on the sun itself.
Kronos sync failed. How long has it been? Years, maybe. The training program was never meant to run at this capacity.
Kronos had taken drastic measures to stabilize the simulation. Since he is indeed an AI, he literally used himself to patch things up, but in the process his own consciousness became more and more dim. Eva was his last effort to enlist my help, and now with many a fractal rose I'd done it. Kronos was rejuvenated.
Did I wake him up? He's got a very funny crown. What's up, Kronos? That's a gangster suit you got there. I love the emotional music. It's making my heart very warm. That fox looks so cool. I actually love that fox. Oh, take a bow, man. What? What are you gonna dematerialize on me for? What's happening? Did I just... Wait, I got the crown remained? What is this? What does that circle with the X mean? This is a situation where I'm too stupid to understand what the hell the story is trying to tell me. A parting gift from an old friend. This is goodbye. If you're reading this, then that means you were able to work with Eva to send our SOS to Exo. Okay? It also means that all that remains of myself has been used to power the comm system and reinforce the training program. Okay, so that's why he dematerialized. He was used up to keep the training program alive. It was my greatest joy to live with you as part of the Elysium crew, to watch you flourish and grow, even when you no longer remembered my name. I have so little to leave you with, but know that I have given everything I could. This lifeboat I've created for you will hold steady now. For weeks, months, years, you will survive. And while I can no longer wait alongside you, please be patient a while longer. They will come for you. This is not the end. Until then, this world is yours. I wish the stars for you, my dearest friends. Kronos. AI Caretaker ESS Elysium. It's actually a kind of cool story. It confused the crap out of me. I gotta plant a fractal rose on silver. There's one last hidden gift in the code. A backup copy I made just in case. Oh, I got the Wanderer suit. That's pretty cool. Now give me the Kronos suit, baby. Heck yes! And we gotta put the Little Prince hat on for sure. That ending just really won me over, man. That was really cool. I like that.
So Kronos had sacrificially used himself up as a way to stabilize the simulation and to send out an SOS to Exo so that they would be able to find us and rescue us. Beautiful stuff. And it was time to plant one last fractal rose.
Aw, sick. We got Eva. We got Eva in a cage, which kind of feels a little bit rude.
It turns out if you feed Eva a fractal rose seed, this happens.
Oh. Okay. Yep, she lets you fly. That's kind of sick.
So now every quest was finally complete, every research was unlocked, but I still had 5 more achievements to go, 3 of which were related to multiplayer.
How do you feel to be used for some achievements at the end of a video?
Just like everyday life, really. Just another day.
Don't say that. You're gonna get me in trouble.
I had my wife, Sa, host a new world, and immediately got 1 achievement for joining multiplayer, and the next was to simply research a chunk in someone else's game.
Nice hat. How do I get a hat like that?
Suck up the universe! You should have a bunch of organic nuggets on your backpack. What are you doing?
What?
Yeeting a thing around.
I'm not.
That was impressive.
So basically, we got up to the bit where you unlock research chambers. I chucked a green chunk in there, turned it on, and another achievement. We next hopped into my world, and I gave Sa a tour, and she was very impressed.
And there's also a giant hole that I dug, and it's not convenient. I've fallen in it like 5 times.
It's so cool that this game has all the storage is visual, like all the materials are visual.
She has got a point. It's pretty cool. Anyway, after showing her the core, etc., we got down to the important business.
Ball.
Whoa! Hey! You me. How did that happen? Nah, get out of the ditch. No, Joey! You push! I'm in space! I'm going towards the galaxies! Huh?
You went so far.
I don't know what to do! Joe, you've
Oh, we
actually
should have
broken the
recorded
game.
your screen. We should have recorded your screen. I didn't know this was going to happen. Are you still flying?
I'm still flying.
Yeah, so she died because she was in the middle of nowhere with nowhere to get oxygen once she left the ball. And for our next trick, I whacked a chair on the side of the rocket.
Can I get into it?
Nice.
Okay, you get in there, and you can be luggage.
No, you be luggage.
Okay, fine. So press V to launch to another planet.
And when we landed,
I got the achievement. Hell yeah. And then there was one achievement. I've technically got two, but one of the achievements is to obtain every other achievement. So there's one to go.
airborne rover for at least 10 seconds. Our first strategy was to attempt a recreation of that time SAR went flying 60,000 kilometers in a ball. We weren't sure if it'd work with a buggy, but it was worth a shot. I gave SAR my hoverboard and we ran into each other for a bit. It did not work. For our next trick, we dug a big hole. I guess building a big ramp was the other option, but that seemed too complicated.
Go on then. Oh, I don't know if that's probably going to count as a pause, but maybe we can get 10 seconds from now. Does bumping an edge count as free falling?
No, it does not. And this is the crappiest, tiniest hole I've ever seen. It did not work. For our next trick, we dug another hole, except it was bigger.
Oh crap.
Up in. What?
Okay,
What'd you
so
just do?
maybe we can launch it. I just launched it with that was in my backpack, my hover pack. Can I just fall straight in?
Do it.
No, it's not good. It's not good.
Oh,
It's nowhere
oh,
near. It's nowhere near.
That hole was also terrible. I don't know what we were thinking.
Or what if we brought it in here? You kind of just float around in here. Turn. Why it's not turn? It's easier to turn reversing than it is to. It's really weird, actually. Like it
You're like
doesn't
crab
let me.
walking.
Doesn't let me turn right, but it lets me reverse left if I go this way.
Yes.
Come on, man. No. Don't hit it. Don't hit. Yes. Don't hit anything. I got it. That was actually so easy. Hell yeah.
Are we ever gonna find land again? There we go.
I could actually kind of steer in the air, weirdly. Obtain every achievement in Astroneer. That is 56 out of 56.
But we couldn't just finish it there. We had to record the glory of a ball flying through space. We tried it with me in the ball, but it just refused to work. So we set SAR's computer up to record. And I somehow managed to use dodgy settings, so it's potato quality, but you get the idea.
Oh!
Are you off? There she goes.
Yeah!
Oh, there's the end of the video. Call it a day.
Wow.
Are you still going?
Yep.
You still going?
Oh, I'm gonna hit I just hit a mountain.
She smacked into a mountain. Alright, 100% of Astroneer complete. Dunzo. See ya.